Could it be? But me, your man, Louie Tee. Welcome to the Command Post Game Live. Of course, I'm your set man, Louie Tee. Thank you for joining me. And wow, what a game. I am a little shocked at the outcome. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not think we were going to win this game. I thought that there was a chance we could win. And I told you, can we admit something first before we get into the particulars of this football game and how it transpired and unfolded? Obviously, Washington gets the 23-21 victory over the Green Bay Packers. That's 2 in a row for Washington now. I told you Ron's good for a 4-game heater here in Washington. He's had 2 of those, one of those each of the last 2 seasons here in Washington. Let's see if we can't get to that number and then exceed it this year. 1 game at a time. It was not pretty at all times. There were times where we looked like a well-oiled machine, but a lot of this was created by the Green Bay Packers. Can we just admit that this Packers team doesn't look anything like the Packers teams that we've become accustomed to seeing in past years with Devontae Adams and this Packers team not beating itself, not dropping passes, not committing stupid penalties, not muffing punts? Can we admit that this Packers team doesn't look like the Packers teams of old? If we can just establish that and get on the same page, then we can move forward, because they did as much as we did to win this game to lose it. And you could argue that we did the thing that we always do, where we make games more interesting and competitive than they need to be. We can't ever just win and not have our hearts in our throats. Like, after Terry catches that ball, you're thinking, oh shit, game's over. You know, I in the MOBB, I put game time. And then he goes out of bounds, and that's not Terry's fault. He gets hit, he falls out of bounds. Who cares at that point? What a catch, right? Who cares he's out of bounds? Well, the clock cares. And now there's 6 additional seconds plus the 2-minute warning. So that's effectively a timeout for Green Bay, who doesn't have any more. And if you don't get a first down, now you got to give it back to that bad man. And what did he do on first down? Throws a strike to Samuel Watkins. I'm thinking it's going to get picked. Samuel Watkins catches it. He's running. I'm thinking this guy's going to get in the field goal range. Luckily enough, there wasn't enough time. He had to slide down. If he doesn't have to slide down, he probably picks up an additional 5 to 7 yards, and they can at least attempt a field goal. But because of time constraints, he had to get down. They had to spike it, and we got lucky. We were fortunate. Trustway with his worst punt of the day. Like, why can't we just win the game like everybody else does? Take 3 knees, victory formation, but beggars can't be choosers. You won't hear me bitching and complaining about it anymore. That was my only time bitching about it today, because I'll take the win any way we can get it, and we got it. That's all that matters. So, wow, Taylor Heinicke, boy, was it a rough start. And I was talking cold, hard cash in the MOBB about Heinicke. Like, this is y'all boy. This is what y'all wanted right here. This is what y'all were asking for. But boy, did he play some outstanding football from the latter portion of the second quarter on. The remainder of the game, I thought Taylor Heinicke looked like the Heinicke that gave us a chance during that 4-game win streak in other games last season that we may not have come up with, but he played solid football. I thought we saw that guy in the game from the latter portion of the second quarter all the way through the second half. Now, we still have not played a complete game this season as a football team. Start to finish, we don't know what that looks like. We're still struggling in that department. However, I will tell you this, we're getting close, because the defense is what we thought they are. They're not dominant by any stretch of the imagination. We went up against a battered and bruised Packers offensive line. They didn't have their left tackle in the game. They're mixing and matching parts, and we didn't sack Aaron Rodgers 1 time in this game. He was under duress at times, but it was more of him being paranoid from what happened to him last week than anything that we did to him today. There was plenty of time for him in the pocket to maneuver, get the football where he needs to. You got to give credit. A lot of y'all like to fry and toast these guys in the secondary. You have to give credit where credit is due. The secondary played well today, because there were often times, not sometimes, there were often times where Aaron Rodgers had plenty of time and nowhere to go with the football. He had to check it down. And so you got to give the credit to the secondary. Rashad Wildgoose, we chastised this organization, Ron and company, for Rashad Wildgoose being their answer to the lack of depth at corner, to Benjamin St. Juste moving outside. We chastised them. Rashad Wildgoose played well last week, played well again this week. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. At the end of the day, A win's a win in the National Football League. But boy, it didn't come without some oh shit moments. I'm not gonna front. I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all. There were some moments in this game where you go, boy, we are pathetic, or as a wise man once said in one of my favorite movies, you're one pathetic loser. Hey, no offense, none taken. All right. The pick six, let's rewind to the first play of the game offensively for Washington. That's almost a pick six. That ball just hangs in the air for what felt like an eternity. I mean, oh my God, I'm like, can this ball get to Curtis Samuel already, please? Then the pick six was exactly the same thing to the opposite side of the field, wide side of the field. That ball hangs in the air forever. He throws it inside instead of outside, and it gets picked off. Devondre Campbell, give him credit. He wrestled that football away from J.D. McKissic down the sidelines. And at that point, it's 14-3, and I'm thinking this is about to be an ass thrashing of epic proportions. And this is going to be exactly what I feared it would be. A get-right game for the Packers where, they give us 2 seconds on Good Night Football in America where they say, well, Aaron Rodgers and company go to Washington and they get their act together. Rodgers with a big day, 3 touchdown passes. It's the Packers roll 27-10 over Washington. And that's it. I thought that's what it was trending in that direction, right? The Heineke fumble, that play turned the game. It started with the muff punt. And again, what did I tell you? Sometimes it's not about forcing the issue. It's not about, hey, let's go be aggressive. It's just back up and let the other team that's struggling, let them lose the football game for themselves, right? That's what I said. Just don't turn it over. For this, we had a turnover. We had a pick six, almost had another turnover, right? Just back away and let teams that are struggling, let them struggle, okay? You don't have to do anything else, all right? Just let them struggle, okay? Sometimes it's like making some Kool-Aid, right? You get the water, all right? You pour the struggling team in. That's the packet of Kool-Aid. And sometimes you just back away. Now, if you really want that Kool-Aid to taste good, you need to put some sugar in there, right? Like no one wants to drink flavored water, No one wants to drink, not flavored water, colored water. That's what it would be without sugar. But sometimes you just need to back away. You just need to back away. So we backed away. They muff a punt. And then they got us. Heineke scrambles, doesn't see pressure behind him. Gary comes from behind, hits some balls out. They scoop and score again. It looks like, oh my God, just when we had a little bit of momentum, this is going to really break our backs in this game. And they got illegal contact. It was a good call. If it would happen to us, I'd be pissed off, but it's the right call. We've seen that called against us. That negated the interception against Dallas. We've seen that shit. All I've ever asked was, if you're going to call it, just call it both ways. They did that. I'm not upset about it. So it hurt us late in the game. They were the right calls. But because that play did not count, we were able to weather the storm. Heineke settled down. I thought he was terrible in the first quarter and a half of this game. Terrible. I thought he was going to come in here and soil himself. And then that touchdown pass to Terry, I felt like ignited this football. Really, the pass to Antonio Gibson, I thought gave him confidence, right? And then the touchdown toss to Terry. And there was the Brian Robinson play. I'm in the MOBB telling them, y'all, that's a fumble. And they telling me, I'm trolling. I'm like, I don't troll. Y'all know me better than that. I don't troll. That's a fumble. Now, whether he regathered it while he was down is another debate. And I thought maybe he did when they slowed it down. Watching it live, I said, that's a fumble. But when they slowed it down, it looks like he regathers, 2 hands on the football, and then it's pulled out. But he fumbles that football. And so I didn't think it was enough evidence to overturn. But and neither did they. But they looked at the shit for like 20 minutes, which is why our game lasted longer than any other game other than Jacksonville, New York, the first half of the football action for Sunday, week 7. Every team is in the second half. We're at the 2-minute warning. That's how long that challenge took. Plus, Green Bay's coach had 2 challenges in the first half. That didn't help either. However, bottom line is, we were able to find a way to just barely avoid the catastrophic mistakes. We had one big one, okay? The pick six is a big mistake that if you're playing a team that is playing better football, you're not going to be able to get away with that. But because we're playing a struggling Green Bay Packers team, we were able to overcome that. But we almost had a fumble, scoop and score, right? And then we almost had that fumble by Robinson, which would have killed a drive that ultimately turned into a touchdown. The Antonio Gibson touchdown. That was a beautiful pass by Taylor Heineke back in the end zone. So we avoided those near fatal mistakes. And then that throw to Terry, I thought that ignited the stadium, the players, and Taylor Heineke and Terry McLaurin. I thought that play, because Jair Alexander was talking shit to Terry. You could tell. You could tell when somebody's talking to Terry, getting in his ear, telling him, you ain't shit. You can't, get open. I'm locking your ass up. And so Terry, one catch early in the game. It wasn't a big catch, but it was a catch. You could see Terry jawing. I said, okay, he's in Terry's ear, and Terry wants to give him some work. And that touchdown, you saw it. Terry got up. He turned around. He looked at him. He flexed on him like, what? Right? And then he got the tail, and he's like, that's what I'm talking about, boy. And he pushed him. And he gets to the sideline. And he's like, I told him, he can't effing cover me. He can't effing cover me. And Ron, you should see Ron. Ron is such a square. Ron's in the background like this with a golf clap. No, he can't, Terry. That's what he says. No, he can't. And he's clapping like this. I'm like, come on, Ron. He's amped. You get amped, right? But no, that's not Ron. I'm not even mad. So I thought that play ignited the entire team. I want to give the defense credit. The Packers were 0 of 6 on third downs in this game at one point, hadn't converted a third down. I don't know if they ever did convert a third down. All their third down conversions, I think, came via the penalty. So I'm not sure that they actually converted a third down in this game. No, they were 0 of 6. So this is the first time since 1999. They showed us the stat that the Green Bay Packers did not convert a third down, a single third. Do you know how hard it is to go an entire NFL game and not convert a third down? Not be in a 3rd and 3 and throw a 4-yard pass. Be in a 3rd and 4 and complete a 5-yard pass. Be in 3rd and 2, get a 3-yard completion. They were in 3rd and short in this game on a number of occasions. So it's not like it was a bunch of 3rd and 13s and 15s like it was last week against the Jets. It was 3rd and 6. It was 3rd and 4. It was 3rd and 3. They had a 4th and 2, right? Like there were opportunities for them to convert, and we just stopped them. So we have to give ourselves credit. We have to give the defense credit. However, it was also a lack of execution on the part of the Packers. These are plays Aaron Rodgers completes in his sleep. These are plays that his receivers usually make with their eyes closed, right? So while I want to give the defense a ton of credit, and they deserve it, right? I also have to acknowledge the fact that the Packers are not themselves right now. And I'm fully looking forward to taking advantage of other teams that may not be themselves. Give me all of those teams. Line them up. I'll take them one at a time, week after week after week. We saw what Tampa Bay did today, all right? Got their ass whooped by Carolina, who a lot of people thought was the worst team in football. They just started selling off parts of their squad. They beat Tampa Bay 21-3 today. Look, I don't give a damn how it looks, how it comes. Let me get it. And we got it today. So I'm excited about the win. I could say so much more. I'm going to let you guys talk. And as you guys, bring things to the forefront, we'll talk more. I want to get to some of these comments, because what I don't want to do is have some of them go away because I talked for too long. I'm excited. You should be as well. I know some of you are like, this is a means to an end. We still suck. That's fine. But we're 3-4. And no one, I can tell you right now, I can't speak for anybody else. I didn't want to be having draft conversations in late October. That's not fun for me. I waited all offseason to talk about football in season. I didn't wait all offseason to be talking about next year's draft. I don't know about you. So I'm excited about this 2-game win streak against the NFC North. And I told you before the season started, if you're serious about making the playoffs as a team in the NFC East, you need to go 6-2 against the NFC North and the AFC South. And right now we've beaten Jacksonville. We've beaten Chicago. We've beaten Green Bay. We've lost to Detroit and Tennessee. So right now we can't afford to lose any more games within the divisions that I referenced early. So all we've got left now is Minnesota. We'll see them in 2 weeks. And then in the AFC South, all you've got left is Indianapolis and Houston, both winnable football games. The Colts look terrible today, but they'll get a big piece back next week. But we'll talk about that next week. I don't want to hold you up talking about next week's game. Let's celebrate and enjoy this week's victory. So let's get to the comment section, and we start with Rashad Coker. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rashad writes, Terry is my wide receiver one. Jair is food, and Terry was eating good today. Let's see what Terry ended up. I don't think he got 100 because Taylor didn't have but 200 yards passing, but Terry had a good chunk of that. So did Curtis Samuel. I think Terry, I'm gonna put Terry at 82 yards today. I'm gonna put Terry at 82. Let's see what we got. 73 yards on 5 catches and the touchdown, obviously. I like that Terry led the team in targets along with Curtis Samuel. That's always positive. We talk about having those guys see the football a little bit more. How about the run game today? Robinson, 20 carries, 73 yards, not quite 4 a pop, but, continuing to churn out yards, be physical. Gibson, 10 for 59, 6 a pop for AG. He's playing phenomenal ball. I thought after Terry, I thought Antonio Gibson was the best player on the football field for Washington today. Curtis Samuel, this is what we wanted to see. 5 carries, 26 yards. I thought the creativity from Scott Turner in the run game was phenomenal. I abhorred that possession where we got into, I want to say it was, that last possession right before Terry's catch, where you got Heineke carrying it twice. I absolutely abhorred those calls. Okay. You're having success on the ground with the running backs, especially Antonio Gibson. And I get it. It's late in the game. You don't want Gibby carrying the football. F that. Okay. He's been the most effective runner all day. Put him in the game and give him some carries and some touches. Green Bay knows we're running. Okay. Let's see if they can stop us. They haven't really stopped us all game long. So I didn't like those 2 Heineke keeps. And, but then he made up for it with one call and one play by Heineke to McLaurin, just like that. All was forgiven. So 4.4 yards a rush for this group. You get no complaints out of me, man. Terry is definitely a dog. Like I told you, we don't have many on this team, but most of them reside on the offensive side of the football, and Terry's definitely one of them. Antonio Gibson is another one. Jair Alexander, that's the second year in a row that Terry's cooked Jair Alexander. For as good as he is, and he's a really good corner, don't get it twisted. Terry got him last year in Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of times. He definitely got him 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever Dwayne. So 3 years ago, I think it was Dwayne's rookie season, late in that year when we went to Green Bay and lost. He caught a touchdown pass on Jair Alexander then, and he did it today. So yeah, it was definitely a great performance by our number 1 wide receiver, Terry McLaurin. Dominic Randolph, stand up. You are now the newest member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Come on in. Mob, you know what to do. Show Dominic some love. Welcome him to the MOBB. Looking forward to chopping it up with you, Dominic. Welcome to the squad. Greatly appreciate you. All right. JB Johnson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JB, writes, completely unacceptable by the defense. Penalties and all. They tried their best to give Green Bay this freaking game. This was infuriating. Yes, it was. And, I'm almost giving them, the defense, backhanded compliments because they deserve backhanded compliments. I'll give them a compliment sandwich here and there because I can't just look away from the things that they didn't do well today. What did I tell you going into this game? I said our run defense on the perimeter is a problem. It was against Chicago. It was against Detroit. I said, if it was against Jacksonville. If you look at the teams that have had success running the ball against us, a lot of their success has come outside. Okay. Teams are getting outside. There isn't enough pursuit. We're not getting into the backfield. We're waiting for blocks to come and engage us. And guys are getting up the field, turning the corner and picking up infinite amounts of yardage against our defense on the ground, on the outside, off the edges, on the perimeter. I talked about those things, right? And so I wasn't shocked that Green Bay had some success, but what I was really frustrated about was the inability to get to Rodgers. He was scared today, man. He played scared. And that thumb is bothering him. He really doesn't want to be hit. And yet, we didn't pressure him. And then even with that said, we had 3 opportunities on a drive where you're up 9 with a chance to put this game away. Time is tick, 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 ticking away. Rodgers and company are moving at snail's pace. It's 3 minutes and some change left. And this game is right where you need it to be. And there's penalty after penalty. The Montez Sweat one was the biggest backbreaker because that's 4th and long. Now the Packers have a decision to make. They're going to go for it because you can't punt that football down 9 with 3 minutes and change left and think you're going to get it back with enough time to score twice. So they were going to go for it, and you're in a position to end the game right there, 4th and 10 or 11 or whatever it would have been. And he gets a hands to the face penalty. And then right after that, you get a really bad penalty by Kendall Fuller on a ball that was not going to be catchable by Robert Tonyan. What are you doing? Like, find the football, okay? That sets up what ultimately ends up being the touchdown to Aaron Jones. So, yeah, it was a rough go of it for the defense late in the game. But I can't overlook the fact that after I won't call it even a slow start because Green Bay scored 21 points today, and 14 of them came off of the defense giving up touchdowns. One of them was a pick 6. So the defense was solid, man. I'm not going to kill the defense, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you I was a little disappointed in how they finished up this game. For as strong as they had of an effort as they had, as I mentioned, with some Green Bay Packer assistance, you needed to finish this game strongly with an exclamation point. And we didn't do that, defensively. And so they made this game seem a lot closer than what it needed to be. This was a close game. I don't want to make it seem like we were dominating the Packers all game long because that wasn't the case. But Joey Sly makes another field goal. We're not even having this conversation, right? But there's a conversation that needs to be had about him at some point. Now, I'm not looking to move kickers right now, but at some point, we're going to have a Joey Sly conversation because now it's getting to a point where I don't trust him in big-time situations. Jay Hunter Lee, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jay Hunter Lee writes, looks like Heineke's team at least to the rest of till the end of the year, essentially. He says, unless Ronald does something stupid. It's too early to make that prediction, right? I've said this. I think that ultimately what we'll see from Heineke during these, now we know it's going to be 4 weeks. Right, we know he's on IR now. He's going to miss at a bare minimum 4 games. The first of which is this week against the this Packers game. Okay, so look, we already know that Heineke's got 4 games to prove that he's the guy moving forward, and that they don't need to go back to Carson Wentz. I think right now the prevailing thought is when Wentz is healthy, you go back to Carson Wentz. We traded for this guy. We're giving him $30 million, essentially $28 million. But I've contended that if Heineke goes out here and he balls and this team rallies around him, how can you go back to a guy that was clearly struggling within the framework of this offense? It's going to take more than just this game to sell the coaching staff on the fact that we need to go back to Carson Wentz or we need to stick with Taylor Heineke. He's going to have to go to Indy next week and win there. He's going to have to come home, beat a good football team in the Minnesota Vikings. And then the final game of those 4 games is at Philadelphia on a Monday night. You go to Philadelphia, and I don't know if they'll be undefeated at the time of that game, but if you go to Philadelphia and you find a way to get it done against the Eagles, and we owe them with Heineke because I think Heineke would have beaten them at least once if we weren't a COVID-19 mass unit the 2 times we played the Eagles, and injuries hadn't decimated us, especially that second time we played them. When we almost beat them and we had nothing to play for. We were dead, essentially. Our season wasn't technically over, but it was over. If he finds a way to go 4-0, 3-1 in this stretch without Wentz, he's going to put the pressure, especially if one of the 3 wins, if he wins all 4, obviously we beat Philadelphia. But if one of those 3 wins is on the road at the Eagles, how do you take Taylor Heineke out of the lineup? But that's not a question they have to answer right now. They've got 4 weeks to see what Heineke does, and he will make that decision for them, I think. You got to do what's best for this team now. So we'll see what happens. They want to prove themselves right on Carson Wentz. So I don't think right now they're looking to keep Heineke in as the quarterback. He's going to have to force them to do that. Frankie, yo, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, he is not a great NFL QB, but he's our goddamn quarterback. And since December 2020, TH4 has been the best man on the roster to win us ball games. Ultra, 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 ultra. I can't disagree with that. He's given us the best chance. Now, granted, since December of 2020, he's been the guy that started the most games, right? Like we had Garrett Gilbert start a game. We had Ryan Fitzpatrick start a game, and then there's Carson Wentz. So there hasn't been a lot of guys starting games other than him since December 2020. But to your point, of the quarterbacks that I just mentioned, he has given us the best chance to win. We saw Taylor Heineke giveth, Taylor Heineke taketh away. And so there is that emotional roller coaster. The same shit we talked about with Carson Wentz. You're going to get that with Taylor Heineke. Is it sustainable? That's the question. Can you continue to win football games playing the way that you played on the edge, teetering on the edge like we did today? That's the question you have to ask yourself. You got it done today. Will today's effort be good enough to get it done tomorrow? That's the question you have to ask yourself. I don't disagree with that comment, Frankie. Thank you for the super chat. Dynamic Dave, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Dynamic Dave writes, why did Ron burn that first time out? Season saved. The first time out. What first time out? You know what? Time out. I'm not going to fall for that. I don't know if you were legitimately asking a real question, but I just don't trust you. I'm sorry, Dynamic Dave, because you could be luck. So I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care about that. Good win. I agree with that part of the comment. Darnell Kelly, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. See, this is how luck gets you. You're riled up, you're excited, and while you're not paying attention, he sneaks in and gets you. I'm not having that shit today. I'm on it. My antennas are up. Darnell Kelly, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, the one time I thought I was going to have a heart attack, it never fails. I'll take it, though, a win streak. That's all I was asking for, was a win streak. You know, and let's see how long this thing goes, right? We're on a win streak now. It's 2 games. That's it. It's not 4. It's not 5. It's not 7. It's 2. But in order to get to 2, you had to win 1 first. We won 1. Now you've won 2. Now let's see if we can't stretch it out to 3. The schedule sets up for some success. If we can handle success, it sets up. Who's afraid to go to Indy next week? Not I. Who's afraid to come back home the next week against Minnesota? Not I. Now, some of you might be afraid to go to Philadelphia on a Monday night. That's a pretty scary proposition, but we're not there yet, okay? Next week is Indianapolis. They're a struggling football team. Let's see what we can get done there, right? I can tell you this. I never was in heart attack mode, but I was in, man, what in the hell mode at the end of the game with the Terry out of bounds. And again, that wasn't on Terry. You know, I'm glad he came back and made the catch, because we lose if he doesn't catch that football, we lose the game. You punt to Aaron Rodgers, he's going to get them in the field goal range. Despite the struggles on the day, he's going to get them in the field goal range, and they're going to beat us 24-23. You have to understand that. So that catch was everything. You know, after getting out of bounds part, you don't want that, but that catch was everything. If the Packers had 7 more seconds, they win this game. 7, that's all they needed. So that catch was everything. But it was after we punted, when we didn't get that final first down and we had to punt. I said, and Tress, I'm like, Tress, I need this to be a fair caught at the 7. And he kicks the bitch damn near to the 20. And I'm like, all right, well, they need a whole hell of a lot of yards to get in field goal range. Mason Crosby doesn't have the biggest leg in the league. He's not one of these, you know, Harrison Butker, Justin Tucker types. So I'm like, they got to legitimately get to, you know, the 35 to the 37 or so to just give him a chance. Like, he ain't one of those dudes. They get to the 40, 45, and you trot that dude out there for a 59 or a 62. I'm like, oh, shit, we in trouble. Like, he's not one of those dudes. So I was like, they got to go a long ways. But then Rodgers rolls out like he's about to throw a Hail Mary. throws a dart, and this is why he's the bad man. And I'm like, oh my God, for the first time late in the ball game, I'm saying, are we about to find a new way to lose this game? I was getting flashbacks of Matthew Stafford in that Lions game where I'm thinking they're going to attempt a quick pass, somehow get out of bounds, or something dumb's going to happen. They're going to get a field goal attempt, and they're going to rip our hearts out of our chest. But luckily enough, they just decided to just, if I'm the Packers, I'll let Aaron Rodgers throw the Hail Mary, truth be told. But they decided to throw it. When they threw it underneath, I said, yes, because this shit is not scoring. Shit is not scoring. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Swaggy P writes, man, are we just going to have a heart attack, wins this year? That's what it seems like. Look, none of them. Jacksonville was the cleanest victory we had all season. And it wasn't like a blowout. We didn't win by 2 scores, but we did get the pick late and took the knees in victory formation. That's the only game we've been able to do that this season where we called ourselves a victor. And then there's also the Tennessee game that we lost, that we should have won, that was there for the taking. Could you imagine have we won that game? That's 3 in a row, and you're 4-3 right now. But I don't want to talk about if, ands, or buts, because if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, oh, what a wonderful world it would be. And so we're 3-4. But that game had your heart in your throat as well. So yeah, this is who we are. Understand that. This is who we are. We're not going to win a bunch of games by 10 or by 2 touchdowns. We're going to win close football games. That's how we're built. Okay, so understand, if you want to win, you're going to have to, keep the defibrillator close. Zach LaRoche, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Zach LaRoche writes, one thing I learned from this game, Percy Butler is not our emergency punter. I don't even know what that comment means. Maybe I missed something. Something just went right over my head. However, I will say that there were some things that Washington did in this game where I just went, oh my God, who is this team? Who are these maxed men, right? The stop on 4th down against this Packers team, and it was a poor execution. You saw Aaron Rodgers' lips at the end of that 4th down throw where he goes, what are we doing? Sammy Watkins is supposed to block. He doesn't block Kendall Fuller. Fuller makes the tackle. It's incomplete. We get the stop on 4th down. But that was one of those plays where I go, oh my God, we stopped them. There was no way I thought we were stopping Aaron Rodgers on a 4th down and short like that. This is what the Packers do. So didn't think we were going to do that. Didn't think we were going to. I didn't think Heineke was going to be able to throw a deep ball for a touchdown. That thing that McLaurin was a thing of beauty. Didn't think he was going to be able to do that. And then I didn't think we could down a punt. Like we've shown the ability to muff shit, mess shit up down there where the ball is dying at the 1 and a guy wants to run down at 27 miles an hour and try to fall on it, and like he's just going to stop magically at the 1 instead of taking the football into the end zone. We had 2 guys try to swat the ball. The first guy missed. The second guy stopped it right at the 1, and then the last guy comes and downs it. I'm like, that's professionally done. That's some New England Patriots shit right there, okay? That's how it's done. We don't do that. Interesting stuff. But I digress. I was proud of the effort put forth, especially with the adversity that this team faced in this game. We were down 14-3. The Packers had all the momentum. We could have folded up the tent right then and there. This team fought, as they've done under Ron Rivera since he got here. They've always fought under Ron Rivera. Say what you want. A lot of y'all thought this team was going to pack it in quick. We weren't going to win more than 1 or 2 games this season. I told you guys are crazy. This team always fights. They did it again today. Stephen Combs, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Stephen Combs writes, TH4 played as expected. Defense, that was number 1. Number 2, defense was facing a trash offense. Needs to clean up. I agree. Number 3, that's how you steal games from opponents. Number 4, Colts look weak. I agree with everything you just said there. Heineke played exactly like I expected him to play. You saw good Taylor Heineke. You saw bad Taylor Heineke. You're going to get that in just about every single game. There'll be the outlier games like last year against Tampa Bay and against Carolina. Those were outlier games. The Atlanta game, outlier game. Even the Giants game had that big boo-boo at the end where we thought, oh my God, he just gave the game away. And then he ultimately comes down and makes a couple of big-time throws and gets us into field goal range. But even that Giants game had a boo-boo in it, right? Like, this is who he is. So I agree with that statement. we were facing a trash offense. I agree with that statement as well. Aaron Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers right now. His supporting cast is not very good. His best weapon on offense right now is his running back, Aaron Jones. Handing it to him, throwing it to him, that's their best opportunity to succeed right now. So we were facing a trash offense. I agree with that. That's how you steal games from opponents. I agree with that. It wasn't pretty, but most importantly, it was gritty and a dub. We got it done, okay? And in 4, the Colts look absolutely ass-tastic. I said that their coach was going to be the next guy to get fired, and remarkably, they've won games they've had no business winning, i.e. the Denver game and last week against Jacksonville. They easily could be 1-4-1 or 1-5-1 right now. They got their asses handed to them again today by Tennessee. It wasn't pretty. The Titans aren't a great football team right now, but they got it done. And they're going to have Darius Leonard back next week, okay? So if you're looking forward to that game next week, they're getting their best defensive player back. He hasn't played in like a month. So they're going to welcome him back. He's a dangerous player by himself, but I'm looking forward to that opportunity next week, but we'll dive into that next week. I'm enjoying this Packers victory right now. Love that comment from Stephen Combs. Warren Jackson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, dumb play call on the final drive. Where was Gibby? He was way better today. Turner, wake up and get that man the football. I agree with that comment. I told you there were 2 plays in particular on that final drive right before the Terry catch. First down, we tried a bootleg. We threw it to Amani Rodgers. I had no problems with that. You know, get Taylor outside, see if you can catch the Packers dozing off. And if you can get it to Amani Rodgers and he gets out to the flats and is able to, you know, beat outside contain there and turn the corner, you might get a gain of 8. You might get a gain of 12, and that would pretty much put the game away. You didn't. It was a 1-yard game, but it was a catch. That's all it needed to be, was a catch, so that it would keep the clock running and force Green Bay to have to use the timeout. They used the timeout, and then we proceeded to then try a read option, and Heineke kept it. That was ineffective. I didn't like that play call. Okay, give it to your running back, especially, and I said it, give it to Gibby. And then third down, we tried some cock. It was, so I might have it backwards, but we tried this. I think that Amani Rodgers play might have come in another set of downs, but we tried this cockamamie play where Heineke keeps it and tries to run, and he's zigzagging and he gets slammed down to the turf. And that's how we ended up in that 3rd and 13 to try to end the game, you know, get the first down or whatever. So I didn't love those play calls either, but I thought it was a good day by Scott Turner, you know, calling runs. He had his moments situationally. I complain about this all the time, where I didn't think he was as sharp, but I'm nitpicking there. I thought overall his ability to call plays in this game was phenomenal, especially from a rushing standpoint. I thought there were too many first down throws, but that's when you want to throw. You want to throw on first down. And so you don't want to be predictable, running on first down, but it was working. But if you're going to take a shot, first down is the time to do it. Play action fake when you're having success running. I don't have a problem with that, but they were getting to Heineke in those situations and putting us behind the sticks with some of those plays. I didn't necessarily love that, but I love the play calling by Scott Turner. Curtis Samuel having 5 carries and some of those being in, you know, really creative form. That's what I want to see more of. Let's see. Got another super chat. This one is from Zacchaeus Maggette III. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Heineke had jitters at first, but got it together. I am impressed. He did have some jitters. First game of the season playing, not starting, just playing. He didn't played all game or all season long in any capacity. So obviously a little bit nervous to start the game, but I'm not cutting the man a break. You know, some of these throws were just absolutely horrid. They were behind receivers. They were floating in the air forever. You know, throws a pick six, poor location of that football. Could have been picked off like 4 times in the first, you know, quarter and a half of this game. Like, he was lucky that it was only 1 pick. If the Packers could catch, you're probably talking about 3 or 4 picks from Heineke in the first half. And this is a totally different game that we're not even talking about us even being close in. So, you know, you can put jitters on that. He wasn't good. And then he was great. Then he was great. And then he makes those plays that you just, how can you not rally behind him? You know, the throw to Terry under heavy duress on the shallow cross. Like, you gotta give him love for that. It hung in there forever, but that's a gain of 4 instead of a loss of, you know, 6 or an incomplete, which is what it would have been if Carson Wentz was under center. You You have to give him credit where he avoids a couple of guys and then hits Curtis Samuel, right? And gets a first down. Like, you have to give him credit. You got to kill him for these slow-ass screen plays where the ball takes 15 seconds to get there. You know, some of these errant throws where the ball's hanging in the air forever outside the numbers. You're throwing it late and inside, and that's how I got picked. You got to kill him and crush him for that. But you also got to love when he makes the throw to Terry at the end of the game, or the throw to Terry down the sideline for the touchdown. The throw to Antonio Gibson back of the end zone, beautiful touch throw. You got to love him when he does that. You can do both. It's okay. You don't have to praise him every 2 seconds. You can be critical, but praise him at the same time because his game warrants that. You can do both and still be a fan. He played the way that most of you should have expected him to play. I didn't see anything different today that I didn't know he was capable of that we saw at some point last year. Jason Rogers, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Uncle Jay, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, team trying to reel me back. Hashtag 17 was talking ish. What did I tell you, Uncle Jay? What did I tell you when you said you were done? I said, you'll be back. You'll be back. This team always reels you back in. Everybody that said they were leaving. And I'm not talking about getting out of the car, because you can believe in what the team's doing now and still say, I don't believe in Ron Rivera as the answer as the head coach. Those two are separate entities, okay? They're exclusive of one another. You can believe in this year's team and still think that Ron Rivera ultimately isn't the right. Just like you can believe in Taylor Heineke for this team right now, but ultimately he's not the end-all be-all at the quarterback position. So I told you you'd be back. I said at some point this team is going to win 4 games in a row or something of the sort, because that's what Ron Rivera coach teams do. And here we are, 2 in a row. Really good chance next week. I'm not counting my eggs, my ducks before they hatch, but that's a great opportunity. It is on the road. Indy's been a much better home team than a road team, and they've won some good games at home. And Matt Ryan is capable of shredding our secondary. So while we sit here and want to trash the Colts, be wary, okay? Be wary of the Indianapolis Colts. That said, Heineke played well today, well enough for us to win. The defense played well enough for us to win. And for the second consecutive week, special teams made plays, and you could argue they made this is no argument. They made the biggest play of the game last week on the muff punt and the recovery. And then they made another play. We were on life support in this game at 14-3. And then the muffed punt, or it was 14-3, I believe. It might have been 7-0. Whatever the case may be, I can't remember the score at that point of the game. Maybe it was 7-3, and we got a field goal there. You know, I don't remember, because we were 14-3, so it couldn't have been 7-6. Whatever the case may be, that recovery, Green Bay had all the momentum. That recovery slowed things down and got us back into the game and calmed us down. So, 17 was definitely talking his shit. He was in his bag today. He was like, "Hey, bro, you know better. You know better. You know better." Terry said, "Bro, it's too close to Halloween. Don't try me like that. It's really scary out here this time of the year. Shit gets really, really spooky, like the shit you see in a movie. Watch yourself. Watch them before they watch you. Get him. Ha! Told that boy, stop it. You don't want this smoke." Jair had to find out the hard way. Miss Perry, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Miss Perry, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Kevin the PRF sent you the early super chats. I will check my DM and see if I thought I got to it relatively early today. And y'all might be sending me super chats that I already read, but we'll see. Let's get to the comment section and see if there's anything here. Oh, I got to talk some shit today, man. My guy, Mr. McKinney, was talking cold hard cash. I don't see it, so that might have been some trash there. I don't see anything. Anyway, Will Diggs, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Will writes, Joey Sly has to do better. Not only does he have to do better, I need him to be so last week. Wow. Seahawks destroying the Chargers right now. That's crazy. Last week, somebody said that Sly during that field goal late looked scared. Like he was ready to regurgitate his breakfast from the day earlier, or his lunch or his dinner. It was a night game. And I didn't see him. I had no idea what he looked like. So I couldn't tell you what he looked like. If he looked nervous and scared. You never want to see a kicker look scared of the moment. Like the moment's too big for him. I watched Sly because of what was said to me last week. I watched Sly's mannerisms as he was preparing to kick that field goal earlier in the game. And he looked like he was about to lose his appetite. And so he makes me nervous because I want a guy that's stone-faced in those situations. There's an infinite amount of pressure on a field goal kicker. But even the kick right at the end to make it 23-14, that barely snuck in the left upright or the right upright, he looked absolutely frightened. He looked like he had seen a ghost. I do not trust Joey Sly right now. However, I don't want to go out on the streets. It's not safe out there. So sometimes kickers go through these things. And then, I'm hoping that Sly gets a couple of these out of his system and then goes on this ridiculous streak where he makes 24 straight field goals. He's capable. We've seen it. So I'm gonna stick with him. I know he's capable. I said this in the MOBB. I'm sick and tired of these kickers with big legs with no accuracy. We seem to always get them here. Guys with massive legs. You got to love their ability to kick the football, but they just struggle with the accuracy piece. Why can't we find the guy? And look, we may ultimately have to spend a draft pick on a kicker. That may be ultimately what we have to do. We play too many close games for this shit to be a problem. It almost cost us last week. It almost cost us again this week because we should not have been in a position where the Packers, and again, you can blame the red zone efficiency for that. We got in the red zone 4 times and we scored 1 touchdown. So you can blame us on offense for that, not getting in the end zone and putting this game away when we had opportunities. That said, when we send him on the field, we expect points. We're not in a position to be leaving points on the field. We need them all on the scoreboard. It almost cost us again today. He's got to be better. Matthew, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Matthew writes, Taylor Heineke gets knocked down, but the kid gets up swinging. You got to love him, right? You got to love the fight from Taylor Heineke. I've just, everything about that touchdown to Terry, I loved. Absolutely loved it. Every single moment. I soaked all of that shit up. Because there aren't enough instances of seeing raw emotion from this team because we're too busy trying to fight for our lives to have the kind of emotion that you have when you're actually having fun, winning a football game, or you're right there on the cusp of winning, where you're usually trying to fight out of a hole and trying to prevent ourselves from getting blown out of games. So to see the emotion from Heineke when he threw that touchdown pass to Terry, what, man? What? Looking like, man, give me my hat, man. How wrong with them? To see that stank face, right? To see Heineke y'all dapping dudes up, but man, get off me, man. Get off me. Yeah, I know. To see Terry getting hyped, I know he can't cover me. I mean, I love it. That energy permeates the rest of the roster. Until Chase Young comes back, Heineke is the ultimate hype man. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. You got to love it. F. Altus, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, give it up to that man. He that kid, for real, for real. TH4. I got to give it up to F. Altus in the comment section in the MOBB, because he, even when Heineke was stinking it up early in this game, he was one of probably like 3 people that were super positive. I was not. Normally, I'm the voice of reason, and I'm thinking this is normally when Heineke starts like that, you already know. You already know what kind of day it's going to be. He's telling you right now, hey, today ain't that day. Maybe next week, but today ain't that day. So I was thinking, oh, shit, here we go. This is going to be like the Dallas game, the first Dallas game last year. This is about to be like the Bills game last year. This is going to be like the Saints game last year. Like, we're going to fight. We're going to have a chance, but Heineke's not really going to give us a chance. That's what I was feeling. I was wrong. And my guy, F. Altus, was right. So shout out to him. And look, Heineke is what I thought he was. I can't speak for anybody else, and I won't. I'm just going to speak for myself. He is what I thought he was. He did what I thought he was capable of doing. I told you guys this is the most vulnerable Green Bay Packers team that I had seen. I just didn't think we would be good enough to take advantage of it. This is the most, and you watched it with your own eyes. That wasn't the Packers. And I told you before the season started, we're going to beat Green Bay. Now, I changed my mind because I'm allowed to do that after seeing the kind of football that we have been playing. And I will, and I'll admit this, and you probably want to hear this, and I'll say this. If Carson Wentz plays today, we don't win this game. And I think most fans, even if you're the most staunch Taylor Heineke detractor, you have to admit, if this is Carson Wentz, this is not a win. And just leave it at that. You don't have to add anything else. You don't have to try to explain yourself or the contrary. Just leave it alone. If this is Carson Wentz, this is a loss. And just leave it there. Let that sit there and let it stew. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, we tried to give it to them. They didn't want it. Hey, at some point, somebody's got to take it. Tennessee tried to give it to us. Guess what? We didn't want to take it. At some point, you think Tennessee's giving it back, even though they tried to give it to us? And we said, no, you have it. No, they're happy to take that win and be 4-2 right now. Yeah, we tried to give it to them late, and they said no. It wouldn't be fair. You guys earned this. You guys played better than us for 4 quarters. No, you take it. Well, don't mind if I do. Thank you. And I'm not giving the shit back. We offered it to you once. You don't want it. Okay, fine. I'll take it. Thank you. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Big Money Sonny, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, we still super trash, Lou, respectfully. Again, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. If you wanted to say we're still trash, okay, I'd listen to that. I won't listen to super trash. Super trash is a bit much. I don't know if there's a super trash team in the league right now. That's how wide open this shit is. So I hear you, and you have every right to feel the way that you feel. I mean, this was not a clean performance by any stretch of the imagination. I'd even venture to say that if you play the way you played today, next week at Indy, and I'm talking about the near interceptions, the pick six, the near fumble, scoop and score, you know, the Brian Robinson near fumble, like with a guy like, you know, Shaquille Leonard lurking around, that's not almost a fumble. That is a fumble. If you play the way you played today, next week against Indy, you probably don't leave victorious. So they're going to have to play better. But super trash, I don't agree with. Mr. Ron B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mr. Ron B writes, Lou, you forgot the rule. Aaron Rodgers does not win regular season games at FedEx. I said that. I did say that, but a wise woman once told me all good things must come to an end. So I said, I don't think Aaron Rodgers could pick a better time to end that streak for himself when they need a win in the worst way, right after a long day. They're 3-3. They're struggling. Minnesota's trying to run away with that division. They have to stem the tide. And I thought they were going to do it today. And so credit, the squad for going out there and finding a way to get it done and not allowing Aaron Rodgers and a struggling Green Bay Packers offense and football team off the hook. Don't let them off the damn hook. We tried, but we didn't let them off the hook. FL Twos. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, eat crow, Lou. I need those apologies. Me, Eddie Clayton, and Caesar B kept keeping receipts. I said it was 3 of y'all. So I'm pretty sure that comment came before the one that I just made about you guys keeping it positive in the comment section. There were 3 of you. I said it was about 3 of you. I said you were one, and you were the loudest of the 3 that were keeping it positive early in this game when there wasn't much to be positive about. I got to give you credit where credit is due. And I was not positive because I said, I've seen this before. I've seen this from Taylor early in the game, and that's an omen, a bad one at that, normally. But proved to be quite the contrary. He got his shit together. And if you want to chalk it up to nerves early in the game, knock yourself out. I'm not giving him the cop-out excuse of nerves. He just didn't play well. Maybe the first possession, maybe the second possession. We're talking about him making mistakes well into the second quarter. Like, that's past the nervous point. So he played better as the game wore on. I have to give him credit for that. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, stop it, Lou. Heineke trash and should have had 6 INTs and 2 fumbles. Will Scott run the damn ball, please? And salutes to Wild Goose. You haven't said one thing wrong about Heineke. I won't call, except for the fact that you called him trash. He's not trash. He's a professional NFL backup quarterback and a damn good one. And I've said this numerous times. Heineke is one of the best backup quarterbacks in football. I will put him against just about any backup in the league right now. I feel really good about his ability to come in and give us a chance. Yeah, he could have easily thrown 4 or 5 picks. I've already stated that in the first half. I've already stated that. Okay. And he easily could have had 2 or 3 fumbles. You're not wrong. Again, you're not wrong. However, he didn't. And that's what matters the most. He didn't. So Scott Turner needs to run the football. I can't recall how many times I said this, but I recall saying this in the MOBB at least 4 times. Run the damn ball, or run the ball. Something of that variation, something to that effect. On situations where I'm like, why are we throwing right here? What are we doing? We're having success. Run the ball. It's okay to keep running it. They haven't stopped it. And yes, I mentioned him early in the show. Salutes to Rashad Wild Goose. I got a tweet here, and I'm gonna light his ass up. I hope he knows what's coming, because he likes to poke the bear. And look, I'm a pretty nice dude. I'm not looking for any smoke that doesn't come my way, right? If I start shit, I'm ready to do whatever it takes to end shit. Like, don't start no shit, won't be no shit. I'm not usually the one that starts it. But if you start shit with me, just know you better finish it, because if I gotta finish it, the shit's never ending, okay? We're gonna turn this shit into lamb chops. This is the song that never ends. This is about to be the troll that never ends. My man Gilman McKinney, big Packers fan. For those of you looking for him, he's the Juice Alert on YouTube. Been on his show. We chopped it up. He's a good dude, okay? But he tweeted at me, and he always does this. Again, I never go looking for smoke. I don't bother this dude. He comes bothering me often. Like week 1, he's telling me Jacksonville's going to give us work. And I'm like, bro, you worry about your Packers. Y'all got to go to Minnesota. He's like, don't worry about us. We going to Minnesota. We going to take care of business. They got their ass whooped. We took care of business in week 1. Today, he says, Louie Tee, at the Louie Tee Network, the Commanders best not even show up today. That was his comment. The bad man and his squad are coming for blood. He said is coming for blood. He meant are coming for blood. Oh, really? He'll have to deal with me later. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm talking to y'all right now. I just want y'all to know I see this shit. I see you're petty, and I raise you extra petty. He shouldn't have done that. Not when your team is playing like absolute hot garbage. He shouldn't have done that. Hoodie H. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, relax, Commanders fans. I don't know if that's hey, bro, you just beat a bad Packers team. Chill, bro, chill. Or if that's relax. We good. Act like y'all been here before. Or it's, hey, we still trash. Relax. Don't get all hyped up. You know, don't jump up to get beat down next week against Indy. Whatever he's saying, he's not wrong. Whatever it is he's saying, all of that shit is right. All of it. All right. Dynamic Dave, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I was wrong in my super. Didn't know Terry was out of bounds. Okay, so that's the timeout you were talking about, Ron. That seemed real luckish. All right, that seemed real luckish because I knew that Ron didn't waste any timeouts. Ron actually did a good job today. He threw the challenge flag when he needed to. That was definitely an incomplete pass on the Heineke fumble that they were trying to make it 2nd and 23. And Ron challenged that correctly and got it back to 2nd and 10. And that saved that drive. We scored on that drive. So I thought Ron did a great job today of just, again, staying out of the way and letting the other team self-destruct. So I'm glad you caught that and corrected it yourself. Michael White, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Michael White writes, yay, we don't suck again. At least all the way. You know what today's win does, if nothing else? And this is all I ask, right? Like, as a fan of this team, this is all I ask. What this game effectively does is it means we will still be having meaningful football into the month of November. That's what this game meant today. No matter what happens next week at Indy, you're still playing meaningful football games into November. No matter if you lose next week to the Colts and you drop to 3-5, you're still playing meaningful football. You're just 2 games out away from 500. And again, in a wide open conference where no one has stepped up and grabbed the reins of any of the wild card spots other than the teams in our division, Dallas and the Giants right now currently are 2 of your wild cards, right? Everything else is up for grabs. So effectively, we have kept our season relevant with this win. You lose this game, you drop to 2-5, and you're pretty much dead as you head to Indy next week. And if they win next week and beat you and you go to 2-6, you're officially dead. Your season's officially over. Even if that 4-game win streak comes after it and you get to 6-6, you're still fighting that uphill battle. That's why I said, I don't know when that 4-game heater is going to come, if it's going to come at all, but I'd like it to come sooner rather than later. Don't wait until we're 4 games under 500 to come. You come when we're 1 or 2 games under 500. That's where we're trending right now. Like it might come when we were 3 games under 500, which sucks because even if you get 4 in a row, you're just 1 game over 500, but at least you're over 500. Today's win effectively makes the rest of this month and into November relevant football. I got no complaints about that. John Perez, my guy JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. JP writes, sup, Lou? Didn't get to watch because I was driving all afternoon, but glad we won. Big time dub over a big time QB. Hashtag take command. As bad as Aaron Rodgers is struggling, he's still airing effing Rodgers. Yet I told you the thumb was a problem, but it wasn't going to stop him from playing. But it's a problem. You saw it. He was after the first touchdown drive of the game. He was flexing it. They went ahead and taped it up. I wanted us to get to him a little bit more to see if we couldn't affect him as a passer with that thumb, but we never really did today. Really disappointed in the defensive pressure that was applied or lack thereof on Rodgers. But with that said, it was a big All right, there we go. I don't know what that was about. Sorry about that. Yeah, all of our screens froze, including mine. So we're all good now. We're back like cook crack. And so I said all of that to say this. We're playing meaningful football with this win. That's all that matters. Kevin the PRF, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Kevin the PRF writes, LT, early super chats are in your IG. Please hit like and subscribe. Hashtag Heineke Revenge Tour. Okay, so I went to Twitter, which is usually where those things go. You hit me up on IG, so I need to go there. Okay, I will switch it up. Head over to IG. See if there's anything in here for the kid. And we'll go from there. All right. All right. See if I see anything. I don't see anything. So I'm going to keep it pushing. All right. Juan Gotti talking sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Juan Gotti talking sports. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, that Tennessee loss hurts even more now. And I like B-Rob, but Gibby is my RB1. I never left him. Last update on the body. We got any limb movements, Lou? The brain activity is continuing to progress. We've opened our eyes, right? We're looking around. We are now coherent. Okay, so the brain activity is definitely firing off. And now we can actually shake our heads, yes or no, right? So we hear, all right, and we can respond now. We're still not talking. Okay, still not talking. You don't start talking and moving limbs and things of that nature. You don't really start doing that until you get back to 500. But we're far from dead. At one point, we were conversing with family members. Do we need to pull the plug on this season? Start Sam Howell. We're not having those discussions anymore. We asked for a miracle and we got it. All right. So now there's brain activity. Eyes have opened up. Head, yes. No, yes. We can shake our heads. We can squeeze hands, but we're not moving around yet. I'm with you on Gibson. I said this last week when I was appalled at the amount of touches that he got. I like his usage better today. Look, Brian Robinson is their guy. They're not coming off of that, which is fine. He got 20 carries today. Antonio only got 10. That's fine. Antonio Gibson's sweet spot for me. Every game should be anywhere from 10 to 20 touches. Because Scott Turner tells us every week, if he's got the hot hand, we're going to keep feeding him, right? That's his line. If whoever's got the hot hand. Well, Gibby had the hot hand today. You didn't keep going to him. You did on that particular drive, but then you went back to Brian Robinson. So, which I don't mind. I'm not upset about that, right? As long as Gibby gets his touches, he had 10 touches on the ground. I think he had another 3 catches. Let me see. He had 10 carries and he had 3 catches. I was right. And of course, the big touchdown grab early in the first half. So that's 13 touches. That's where his sweet spot is for me. If you're going to give Brian Robinson 20 carries and throw it to him another 1 or 2 times like they did today, then Gibby should be in that 10 to 20 range, somewhere around 15 touches. And he was. That's perfect. That to me is where he needs to be. The guy that right now needs more opportunities is J.D. McKissic. He only had 1 carry today. He didn't have a single catch. They did throw it to him twice. The pick 6 was being thrown to him. He needs more involvement. And I get it. There's one football, not enough to go around for everybody, yada, yada, yada. Find a way to get J.D. McKissic more opportunities in this offense. You may have to get creative with him like you get with Curtis Samuel. You may have to split J.D. out wide, send him in motion, and give him a jet sweep. Like, J.D. needs to touch it more. Thank you for the super chat. Juan Gotti talking sports. Heavy K, Commander fan. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, if we trade everything for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, when do you think that one will be ready to start in the NFL in their first year? I'm not the biggest CJ Stroud guy, but I got to watch more. But I'm a little off put by Ohio State quarterbacks, and Stroud looks like a lot of those other guys. Again, I have to be fair to the kid. Don't scout the helmet, scout the player, right? So I don't dislike his game. I just don't love it. I actually like Bryce Young's game a lot better. And I think his temperament is one that fits in the NFL. Now, I like Stroud's size better than Bryce Young's, but Bryce Young is a kid that just gets it. He's always even keel. I love me some Bryce Young. I'm just going to keep it a buck. But you're not going to get your hands on one of those kids. You're just not. Not with all the teams like Carolina loading up draft capital. They will give up whatever it takes to did Jimmy G just throw a pick? He sure did. They will do whatever it takes to get themselves a quarterback this year. They're not going through this song and dance, which is why they traded Christian McCaffrey, and they may not be done yet. So I don't see any way we can get our hands on either one of those dudes. Somebody's going to end up with a pick where they need a quarterback, whether it's Houston or it's Carolina. They're going to end up with the 1 and 2, right? We're not going to end up with that. We're not going to end up with the first or the second or the third pick. We'll end up somewhere, like I said, we'll be somewhere in that 13 to 21 range if we make the playoffs somehow. But we'll be in that range somewhere. 11, I think. We'll move it back a little bit. 11 to 21. We'll be in that range somewhere. So, yeah. Don't really see us getting either one of those dudes. But those are day oneers. You draft those kids, they start week 1. I'm not looking to put those guys on ice, learn nothing. You come in here, you take your lumps day 1, and you just hit the ground running with those youngins. Let's see. Rob Yu, thank you for the super chat. Grips, greatly appreciate you, my guy. Rob Yu, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Right. Gibson in his new role is impressive. This is what we were looking for when the season started, and B-Rob getting shot delayed this. I got excited watching him in the Chiefs game in that 2-minute situation with Heineke catching the ball out of the backfield. And I'm saying, if this is what he could be, returning kickoffs, and he had some good returns today, and catching the ball out of the backfield, caught the touchdown today, among other times. How about the run? I need you to acknowledge how talented this dude is, because a lot of y'all keep talking about we should trade Gibby, get what we can get for him. I'm like, this dude is one of the few players that has a chance to be a blue chipper on this team, and you want to give him away for what? Gibby, to me, has talent that no other running back on this team has. Period. They love Brian Robinson. He's not Antonio Gibson, and they know that. They would not have even drafted Brian Robinson if Gibson didn't have the fumbling issue. This wasn't about Gibson's ability to run the football or leaving meat on the bone, as some, alluded to last year. This was all about the 6 fumbles he had last year. That's what that was about. We can't afford to have that. And I want to sit him down, and the next guy up is Jarrett Patterson. I can't do that if Jarrett Patterson's the backup running back. So they had to go get a dog. And they went and got Brian Robinson. But he's not Antonio Gibson. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's a run in this game where Gibson, he stutters. He then changes direction, cuts it back, gets to the outside, and then you see him turn on the Jets. He ducks his head, and he turns that shit into hyperdrive. Outruns the entire Packers defense, turns the corner, lowers the shoulder. This is on a 2nd and 10, mind you. After the Heineke, what they thought was a fumble, recovered by Heineke, later overturned to an incompletion. 2nd and 10, they give the ball to Gibby, and he gets to the outside, puts his head down, turns on that 4.340 speed. turns the corner, lowers the shoulder, doesn't run out of bounds, lowers the shoulder, gets 12 and gets the first down. That's Antonio Gibson. That's why I love that dude. And then in the same game, he can run a route, get to the back of the end zone, have the presence of mind to catch it, get his feet down, inbounds, touchdown. He's a weapon. This is what we envisioned when they decided that Brian Robinson was the lead back. This is what I envisioned. Now we're seeing it come to fruition. F. Altus, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. F. Altus writes, FedEx was lit today. TH4, TH4, TH4. It was lit because there was a lot of Packers fans. Packers, first of all, the Packers are one of the best traveling fan bases in football. Make no mistake about it. So they did what they always do, which is travel well. They took over the stadium, but we fought back. And the players on the field gave us a reason to fight back. And I'm going to tell you, keep it a buck again. Heineke is the reason a lot of people decided they wanted to be at that game today, which is crazy. But he's galvanized the fan base and swept up a lot of fans that were on the fence, ready to quit on the season. He's injected new life, not only into these players. I think these players believe in Heineke way more than they do Wentz. Wentz is an outsider, and he hasn't proven shit to this team. Heineke proved last year it was tough. There was COVID. He stuck it out. He gutted it out, led them to some victories. Yeah, he made some mistakes, but I think they trust him more than they trust Carson Wentz. And that's why if Heineke continues to play well, that's why it's going to be tough for them to go back to Wentz, because you could lose the locker room. They know who's the better guy, or at least gives them the better chance. Wentz has the higher ceiling. But with this particular team, Heineke may give you the best opportunity to win. I don't even know if may is the right word. Does give you the best opportunity to win. Alex Kurtz, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Alex writes, hey, Lou. My bad on the late fan report. I had a few daiquiris and was hectic at the end. We peppered Soldier Field. It was a great showing, considering with the old heads dressed to the gill in Skins gear and the young Commanders fans. Okay, cool. I love to hear it. I had asked you for a report last week involving this team, and because you said you were going to the game against the Chicago Bears, and I said, I just want to know what our presence is in Chicago. You know, we're not there very often. What does it look like? And so it's good to know that we peppered the stadium. I'm pretty sure it was probably like 90% Bears fans there, but we got our little 10 in there, maybe 15% Commanders fans. And I wasn't expecting it to be any more than that, but good to know that there were a number of you there, and you saw your team be victorious. So you did the only thing that I ever asked anyone going to a game: bring home the dub. You did that. Appreciate you, Alex. Thank you for that update. Big Money Sonny, thank you for super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, pass protection is still shit. It wasn't great today. I will grant you that. I thought Heineke did a great job of stepping up in the pocket, maneuvering and getting up the field. Had a run or two, but also, stepped up to make throws. And so that was impressive. I thought sometimes Heineke took some deep drops, and that allowed the pressure to get there. But some of it was just our guys just didn't do a good enough job. So even with that said, I thought the pass protection was good, was solid. It wasn't good enough. It was solid. It wasn't a nightmare like we've seen in games like Dallas and Philadelphia in the first half against Detroit, but it wasn't terrible either. It was more like the Bears game, where it was early, a little bit of pressure here and there. But for the most part, they did their job. Heineke had time to throw the football. And credit the Packers. They blitzed a lot. They blitzed a lot. They came after Heineke, man. They came after him. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. King of the North writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, King of the North, writes, Great play calling today. Scott stuck with the run and opened up play action. Heineke showed some grit and kept his mind in the game, very similar to the Tampa Bay game last year. Need to score in the red zone, though. I can't stress that enough. You know, you go into the red zone 4 times and only come away with 1 touchdown. I tell you guys all the time, if you want to know why the game met the outcome that it did, usually you can go straight to 2 stats. Turnovers and red zone efficiency. We were not efficient in the red zone. Each team turned it over once, and we weren't efficient in the red zone. All right. So you could argue that, and that's the same thing we did against them last year. Last year, we got into the red zone 5 times, and we did not score a single touchdown. We were 0 of 5 in the red zone last year. And most of those drives ended in 0 points, by the way. Failed quarterback sneak, an interception in the end zone, Antonio Gibson fumble, a blocked punt, field goal. Like, we self-destructed last year in the red zone, but we moved up and down the field. That's part of what gave me the confidence that we could, do some things against them, but I didn't trust us to make winning plays when they needed to be made. I was kind of shocked that we did that. Like the Terry catch, that's a winning play. The missed field goal by, Joey Slye, that's loser football. We got great field position and we don't get any points. That's loser football. I thought Scott did a great job with the run. I didn't necessarily love some of the passing, opportunities, especially on early downs, but I'm not going to kill him for that, because when you're running with the type of success that we were having, the best down to throw it on is first down. But there were certain situations where you're like, okay, I don't really need you being overly aggressive right now. The run is working. Let's just stick with that. But I thought he called a really good game. Getting Curtis involved in the run game, loved it. Even though Curtis, there was a play where, Preston Smith made a great stop in the backfield. That was a creative play. Like, I want to see creativity. We saw that today. A couple of counters to Antonio Gibson, to change, where the run is coming from, or a look that they may not have seen very often. I thought the run game in particular was very creative. And for the most part, he stuck with it. There were times where I wanted him to run the football and he did it. But again, I'm not going to kill him, because if you're going to go play action fake, if you're going to take advantage of the run, first down is the best down to do it on. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Fat American writes, what's with the penalties we commit? Why? Those penalties on defense were back-breaking late in the ball game. Literally, it's 23-14, and we've got the Packers right where we want them. They are in no position to win this ball game. It's going to be 4th and long, like 4th and 10 or 11. And they haven't shown the ability to complete a 12-yard pass. So I was feeling good in that moment. And then Montez Sweat with the hands to the face. Before that, you had a penalty. I want to say it was, I don't remember who it was on. We had another 5-yard illegal contact penalty down the field. Then it was the Montez Sweat hands to the face. Then it was the personal foul penalty. I didn't even see that, coupled with the pass interference on Robert Tonyan, which is what they accepted. It was 2 penalties on that play, and then you get the Aaron Jones touchdown. Like, we literally were trying to give the Packers every opportunity to steal this game from us. Benjamin St. Juste almost had a bad pass interference that would have led to Packer points. Instead, they picked up the flag, and the Packers ultimately got nothing out of that possession. See how that, just something like that, can change the tenor of a ball game. I think this is the first week we didn't give up an explosive. I'm thinking about it. There wasn't a big, the Samuel Watkins play at the end, I guess, is the biggest play that they had from scrimmage today. So I guess that one would constitute an explosive, because that was definitely like a 35-yard gain. The problem was, as I mentioned, it wasn't 20, it wasn't 35. It was more like 29 or something. They got close to midfield. I don't think they actually crossed midfield with that catch and run. He got dangerously close to midfield, however. But if that's the biggest play of the game, which I think it was, that's a testament to this defense finally not giving up explosives down the field. Those were some big penalties, though, as you mentioned. Luke Butts, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Luke writes, let's do 1,000 likes. It'd be nice, but I'll settle for my little 300 or 400 at the end of the day. It's over 1,000 of you, almost 1,100, only 300 likes. If you're watching this and you haven't hit the like button and you care to support, that's an easy way to do so. Just hit the like button. Thank you for that, Luke Butts. Commando Liberty, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, we still trash. Packers were more trash today. I don't disagree with us being still trash. I'm not going to refute that. If you felt like this team wasn't good enough to get it done before this game and they did, that's cool, but don't go overboard. All right. We didn't win this game 36 to 20, going away, which is what we could have done had we converted in the red zone. We won this game 23 to 21, holding on for dear life at the very bitter end. So yeah, you can still make the argument that we're trash. We're 3-4. Okay. Yeah. We're still trash. And the Packers were definitely more trash today. Absolutely. I'm not going to disagree with that. Just understand that somebody's got to win football games, and usually it ain't us. Hold on. I got to see what's going on here. That's not good. That's not good. Okay. Broncos in that game, though. All right. Cool beans. Cool beans. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Let's see what the Raiders and Texans talking about real quick. I expect the Raiders to beat them. Shit, the Texans are up. I mean, okay, Chargers back in the game. Okay, shit's starting to shape up for the kid. Whew, boy, NFL this year, boy, you just don't know, boy. You just don't know. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny, writes, people all of a sudden rocking TH4 and Scott, please. Y'all can have both of them. They trash, Lou. Trash. This don't feel like a dub. I'm sorry, but nah. I disagree with the final statement that this doesn't feel like a dub. This definitely feels like a win. This doesn't feel like last week's win over Chicago where you were like, man, that was really tragically bad on both parts. It just feels like we just literally stood out of the way and let the Packers self-destruct. That the Packers didn't just self-destruct. We helped them in that regard, and we made plays offensively. It's not like we just, had 100 of total yards of all. Carson Wentz didn't even throw for 100 yards last week. He threw for 99 yards in a win. Like, are you kidding me? This feels nothing like last week's win. That said, it's going to take more than just 1 week of Scott Turner calling solid plays for me to feel better about Scott long term. He had a better week this week, but the bar has been set extremely low for him. So I need him to consistently show me. I told myself this early in the game. I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. I told myself in the game, I said, oh, Scott in his bag. You know why? He had extra time. This is the same shit he did against Jacksonville week 1, where he had all his tight end screens. Still haven't seen one of those since week 1. But he was in his bag week 1 against Jacksonville. Offense moving up and down the field. Curtis Samuel getting involved and getting cute touches. This shit feels like I had more time on my hands. All right, next week, regular work week, 7 days, 6 to prepare for the game. Let's see if you try the same shit you tried on the train this week. Try that shit on the train. No. Try that shit on the train. I want to see if he's going to try it on the train next week or not. My money's on he's going to revert back to being the same old Scott Turner. Same Scotty as he's always been. Bullshit-ass play calls, vanilla as hell, not getting Curtis Samuel involved in the run game, not sticking with the run, being overly aggressive, throwing the football. We'll see what he does next week. But I got a feeling he's not going to be as creative next week because he doesn't have as much time on his hands. And as far as Taylor Heineke is concerned, he is what I thought he was. Until he changes that narrative, he's one of the best backups in football. He looked like it today. Got no problems with it. I don't think he is trash. I can't sign up for that. Jack Ass in the Box, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, all I got to say is Terry effing McLaurin. Say that shit louder for some of them in the back that need to hear that shit. Say it again. It's getting close to Halloween, which means it's getting spooky out there, man. Scary hours. Scary hours. I told Jair Alexander, I said, bro, it's too close to Halloween for you to be doing this shit, man. This is the wrong dude. Take that shit over there with 10. Don't bring that shit to 17. He had to get some of the work. Cole, stand up. You officially the newest member of the MOBB. Thank you for the super chat, or thank you for becoming a member of the mob. Mob Squad, you know what to do. Show Cole some love. Welcome him with open arms to the MOBB. Looking forward to chopping it up with you, Cole. And looking forward to you being a part of the MOBB, watching the games with us, and having your voice be heard. Welcome to the squad. All right. Amar, 2 times official. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, I think Gibby should still be RB1. Is it just me? Question mark. No, it's not just you, but look, they've got a system. I'm not upset at Gibson being, I like this role for Antonio Gibson. I'm not mad at the fact. I like my Gibby fresh. Smell that. Do you smell that? It's freshness. That's freshness. I like that. I need them to be consistent. I knew he was going to get his touches today because I told you, when Ron says directly during the week, we need to do this more, then that means he told Scott, hey, I need you to do this more. When JD didn't get a touch last year in week 1, he said, I need JD to be a bigger part of the offense. JD was massive in that week 2 win on a Thursday night versus the Giants. When we complained about Terry not getting enough targets 2 weeks ago, what did they do? They featured Terry last week. Couple of jet sweeps, a couple of early throws, a slant, and got Terry involved early. I knew that Antonio, who didn't get the football in each of the last 2 first halves, okay, prior to today's game, didn't even really see the field offensively. I knew he was going to be a bigger part when Ron kept talking about we need to see more Antonio. That gives us a nice little change of pace. So, I love Gibby. I wouldn't mind him being RB1, and I know he's fully capable of being it, but I like Antonio Gibson, the weapon, better. I like the kickoff return Antonio Gibson, much better than Dax Milne, the kickoff return man. I like Antonio Gibson, the pass-catching back that can split out and go one-on-one with a linebacker or a safety. I like the Antonio Gibson that comes in and is able to outrun defenders to the corner because he's fresh. I don't mind. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy, Fat American, writes, people say that Terry ain't Santana Moss figure yet, but if he keeps having clutch performances like today, he will reach that legacy. Love me, number 17. I think I speak for most of the fan base, not all of it, but most of it when I say Terry's that dude. And while he may not be as polished as Santana Moss ever was as a receiver, he's tougher than Santana, and the Tana man was tough as nails. All right. I'm not sitting here trying to talk about or demean the Tana man like he wasn't a tough SOB, because he was. But Terry's a different tough, right? He's definitely a dog. And I'll also say this about Terry McLaurin. He doesn't fumble. Santana had a fumbling problem in Washington. A lot of y'all have selective memory. All right. And you remember the Monday Night Miracle, and you remember a lot of the good with Santana, the Jacksonville Jaguars overtime touchdown grab. There's a lot of good there with Santana. But there was also a lot of fumbles and a lot of bad with the Tana man, right? Way more good than bad. All right. And loved his career here in Washington. And if Terry can have a semblance of that career, then we got us a dog. But Terry's definitely in that vein of a Santana Moss. He just needs more opportunities. And similar to Santana, Terry's never had a guy, a guy. He still doesn't. I think Heineke is the closest thing he's had to a guy since he's gotten here. So I think he embraces Heineke. Jay, stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB. Welcome to the MOBB mob. You know what to do. Show Jay some love. All right. Serenade him with the love. All right. Jay, look forward to you getting all of the bonus content that comes with being a member of the mob. Look forward to you chopping it up with us on game days, being a part of the mob business. And most importantly, I look forward to you being a member of the squad. Welcome aboard, Jay. Martin Matthews, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Martin Matthews writes, "Hey Louie, what's up, Martin?" Says the 3-man prevent defense. I wish and I hope they take that play to the back of the field and shoot it, then burn it. Good win. I feel like 3-man rushes are only good for teams when you drop 8 that understand zone concepts and pattern matching. We don't seem to do the best job of that. Historically, we haven't been a great pattern match, team where guys run into your zone and you just run with them. And so the whole concept of dropping 8 and just playing, patches of grass aren't ideal for me. I'd much rather you get pressure on the quarterback. I understand the concept. Again, you much rather have more defenders back deep than less, because the only thing that can hurt you is, somebody getting loose and making a big play. But at the same time, okay, big return for the Chiefs. At the same time, I'd like pressure on Aaron Rodgers. I don't want him rolling out and throwing a dart like he's rolling out to throw a Hail Mary because there's a 3-man rush. But as you mentioned, I'll take it. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chauncey, triple OG, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, Cam Sims is our hospital ball specialist. It was Cole Turner today who ended up, I think he got a concussion. I said it immediately when he went up. I said, he's climbing the ladder and he's not going to be able to brace his fall. This has got concussion written all over it. And sure enough, he's fighting to hold on to the ball. It's jarred free. His head snaps back, hits the turf. He kind of tries to get up initially. I'm like, just stay down, bro. I thought the arms were about to lock up, but they didn't. But it was scary for a minute there. He left the game, did not return. And that sucks. The kid is just getting comfortable. They finally tried a red zone target to him, and Heineke threw it 10, miles over his head. But I like that they were thinking about him as a red zone target and looking to try to get him involved in that capacity. And now he's hurt. And no telling when he'll be available for us. That sucks. Good to see Cam Sims get involved today, too. Good to see him get involved. Get a little catch and run action. I like to see him put that ball in the opposite hand towards out of bounds, but nonetheless, Amar 2 times official. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Writes, not a lot of pressure, but then the coverage was solid. Maybe JDR didn't want to blitz to risk a shift in plays being made on the back end. I didn't have a problem with him not blitzing. This wasn't a game you want to blitz. Aaron Rodgers is not a guy you want to blitz, because if you come with the blitz and the Packers are struggling, when you play in a team that's struggling offensively, the last thing you want to do is give them a freebie. They catch a slant, you rushed 6, he breaks a tackle, and now there's only 4 guys in coverage, and 3 of them are have their backs turned because they're in man-to-man coverage, and it's off to the races. You don't want to give that shit up. So for me, blitzing wasn't the issue. I just felt like the way we've been getting pressure on the quarterback with 4, we should have been able to continue the trend today, and we didn't. I don't even know if Rodgers was even hit more than 2 or 3 times in the game. I mean, the lack of – now, I would also tell you this. They didn't have a ton of possessions, did the Packers. This game was really cut short by long drives by, Washington, and there were turnovers like the pick 6. We were on a drive during that pick 6. And so we were on a drive. Then the pick 6 happened, and now the Packers don't get the football. We get it back again, and then we started another drive. So I don't think they had a ton of possessions. I will say the Packers had 8 possessions in this game. I'm going to take a look now and see. They had 10. Washington had 11 drives. Now, the drive before halftime doesn't really count, and the drive at the end of the game, to me, really doesn't count. So really, when the game was still in the balance, they had 8 drives, essentially, did the Packers. I'm still startled at the fact that they went 0 of 6 on 3rd downs and then 0 of 1 on 4th down. So, again, you can say what you want about the defense. We gave up 232 total yards of offense to Aaron Rodgers in this Packers offense. Rodgers had 194 yards passing. but they only ran it 12 times. Credit the defense, and I actually thought they should have run it more, but that's not my problem. That's their problem. I don't think Jack was looking to blitz, nor should he have been. With a struggling offense, keep everything in front of you. Make them make plays. And as we saw today, the Packers were incapable of doing that on a consistent basis. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. OG, triple OG, who writes, Lou, Chauncey, how's Cole Turner? Not good. He left the game, did not return, concussion. You never want to see it. And again, I don't think he's going to play next week. I don't think he's going to play next week. So we'll see what happens. Killing Hendricks. Stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB. Welcome aboard. Mob, you know what to do. Show Killing Hendricks some love. Welcome him with open arms. Looking forward to chopping it up with you in the future. Looking forward to you being a part of these Mob Squad scrums, and looking forward to you chopping it up with me in the future as a member of this family that we have created, the MOBB. Welcome to the squad. Killing Hendricks. F. Altus, thank you for super chat. Greatly appreciate you. F. Altus writes, I pray every day Rivera and Turner just let Heineke play and keep their damn noses out of his business. These bum coaches give too many opinions on his play for being bums who were drowning before. So let me just say that they haven't been able to find a quarterback here in Washington. That's no secret. They tried to go get Stafford. They tried to get Russell Wilson. They went out and got Ryan Fitzpatrick. None of those things worked. They got Carson Wentz. That hasn't worked to this point. So Heineke has been the best thing that they've had. And that's not saying much, but he's given them the best opportunity to win here in Washington. And for that, I think they do appreciate what he's brought to the table. But it's not about having mediocre quarterback play and being satisfied with that. You're looking to get the best possible player at that position because that position matters more than any other position on the field. So more games are won and lost because of the guy under center than any other position in the sport. So they're not looking to be okay or average at quarterback. They're looking to be great at that position. So they should never stop looking nor trying to replace Taylor Heineke. That said, when your option isn't playing well within the season that you went out and got, and Heineke gives you a better chance, you got to be able to swallow your pride. And it's hard when you went out and you made the commitment that you made to Carson Wentz, giving up the draft capital that you gave up, eating the $28 million of cap space, getting rid of some veterans that would have been here had you not had to shed some cap space to accommodate Carson Wentz's contract. There's a lot that goes into it, and you want to prove that decision right. But at what cost? That's what you got to ask yourself. And again, Heineke has 3 more weeks to prove that he, in fact, is the right man for the job right now. Not moving forward, but right now. We'll see if he can do that or not. Scary Terry, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Dotson and Thomas will make Heineke look better. It only gets better from here. It only gets better with Dotson coming back and Logan Thomas at some point coming back. It's only going to get better. And I think those guys are getting close. Now, Dotson, I don't know. Thomas, I think he'll play next week. You could get Chase back next week for all we know. We'll see. But you saw the clips of Chase pregame running. That's the first time I've seen him run, stop, cut, and change directions. He looked good. So from that standpoint, I know we're getting close. I've said all along, I think it's week 9 against Minnesota. I'm sticking with that. But week 8 is definitely within reach. He gets the evaluation from Dr. Andrews today. They'll then, have a plan that they'll try to carry out moving forward after that. But Dotson and Thomas will definitely help this offense whenever we, get those guys back. Logan Thomas sooner than Dotson, I believe, but both of those guys will definitely help this offense out. Jay Lee, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, would like to see more running back screens, or is it just us? I like the screen game in general, but we're not a great screen team. If Scott Turner runs that fake screen one way, throw it back the other way one more time to no avail with terrible results where we usually lose yards. If he does that one more time, I myself personally might drive up to well, I don't know what they call it now, whatever the complex is, and I might search him out myself. Like, I'm sick of that screen. There's so many variations of screens you can run. Stop running that one. It does not work. Running back screens haven't been all that successful for us either, but we did throw, I thought, one screen today that was effective. I think we threw one screen that was effective, but for the most part, we're not a screen team. We're not a good screen team. We're not a good screen team. I'd like to see more tight end screens, though. It's good to see Amani Rodgers get involved today. Red House, not Roadhouse. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Gibson looked like the better back today. Gibson looked like the better back last week as well. This is not a surprise because Gibson is the better back from a talent perspective. From a positional perspective, Brian Robinson has been playing a position longer. He's more keen to what needs to be done. But Brian Robinson is not more talented than Antonio Gibson. We all know that. Amar, 2 times official. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, with Ron, history repeats itself. Remember that undefeated team in 2020? Yeah, give me lossless at Philadelphia on primetime television. Much needed win. Much needed. I'm win today in NFC. I don't know what that comment was. Half of that comment, I didn't understand it. However, I can say this. I told y'all in Carolina, he started in year 3. Now, again, I'm not expecting that to happen here, and we don't have Cam Newton or even just an established quarterback that you trust to get the job done. But they started 1-3 in Ron's 3rd year, and they were ready to fire him. The fan base was up in arms after the 1-3 start, and then they went 12-4 that year. They won 11 out of their final 12 games. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but this is right around the time where they start to figure shit out under Ron Rivera. We'll see. I can tell you this, the Giants fans thought some of their wins early in the season were ugly, but they were wins, and you'll take them any way you can get them. And then they started playing even better, and now they're 6-1, and I don't care how they look. Some of y'all are too obsessed with winning the popularity contest. Some of y'all want to win the Miss Beauty pageant, right? None of these shits are beautiful. They don't have to be in this league. It just has to be a tally in the left-hand column. Stop obsessing over what it looks like. Just win the game, and we'll continue to try to get better next week. That's what it's about. Yeah, you would like to play flawless football, not turn it over, not almost turn it over again, not almost turn it over again. You would like to not be 1 of 4 in the red zone. You would like to not miss a field goal. There are a lot of things you would like to do, but at the end of the day, you did enough to win. Yep, the Packers helped us. I appreciate that. I told them as much. But stop acting as if you're too good for an ugly win. This doesn't classify as an ugly win. Last week is ugly. This was entertaining, this was fun, and this was gritty, and most importantly, it was a dub. We got a lot of work to do. We're far from a finished product, but a win's a win in the National Football League. Frank Brown, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Frank writes, Heineke was playing like Heineke at first, LOL, but then he went ultra, 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 ultra. LOL, let's go. He wasn't playing like Heineke light. He wasn't playing like Heine light early in the game. That was 0% alcoholic content, Taylor Heineke, okay? That's the one that you're safe to drink at work. That's the one you can actually have in the vehicle with you as you're driving down the road and knocking it back. That's what that was. He turned it up and went Heineke Ultra from the latter stages of the second quarter to the fourth. He turned it up. Thank you for that super chat, Frank Brown. Big Money Sonny. Thank you. Greatly appreciate you. Big Money Sonny writes, Luck already won, Lou. You think everyone is him. He has won by doing that, but that'll be the only victory that he gets. And again, I told you, I'm answering your comment as long as it's not one of these open-ended, like somebody earlier, Dynamic David said, why did Ron use that timeout? And I'm like, what timeout? Now I'm thinking it's luck, because that's kind of like so ambiguous. And Ron didn't waste any timeouts in this game. So like, now you're trying to get me, even though that really was Dave. I'm on high alert. So in that regard, yeah, he has somewhat won, but that's the only way. You won't get the satisfaction of being able to run back to the Discord. And if you haven't signed up for the Discord in the Cherry Squad, please knock yourself out. Condo P will probably leave the link down in the comment section of this video. Go chop it up with them. They have a lot of fun over there. I still have yet to get in there myself fully, but they have a lot of fun in there. And one of the things they love doing is taking little clips of when guys get got and talking about it. You won't get me in that regard. You can get me being a little nervous and scared, right? But you won't get me just being oblivious to the fact that Luck's on the prowl again. So anyway, I digress. Take Command for Life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Take Command for Life writes, what a game. It was. That was fun. I like fun football. I would have much rather won that game 26-14 or 23-14 and not been at the edge. Hell, I wasn't even at the edge of my seat. I was standing up about a foot from the television with my arms crossed and folded like Ron Rivera, watching that shit like, are we really about to blow this shit? Is that what we really about to do? I had my Ron Rivera on. Loved it, but almost had a heart attack. What's new? All three of the games, you could argue, came down to, situations where you felt like, damn, my heart's beating at a very unsafe rate right now. Also, Giants somehow won against the Jags and are now 6-1. I watched that game. You could put that loss on the quarterback and Travis Etienne. They're going in for a touchdown to really put the pressure on the Giants. They're up in that game. I want to say at the time of the fumble, maybe like 14-6, something like that. And Travis Etienne fumbles the football into the end zone and the Giants recover. Devastating fumble. Then you had them up 17-13. It's 4th and 1 from the Giants 20. And a quarterback sneak gets you the first down, and they were going for the kill shot. And I understand what you were doing, but just take the points. Don't put yourself in a position where a touchdown beats you. If they score a touchdown and they want to go for 2 like they did against Tennessee in week 1, tell them to knock themselves out. But what you don't want to do is go for it, and they didn't get it. They stuffed and stoned Trevor Lawrence as he tried to get that first down on the quarterback sneak. They then went down the field in typical Giants fashion, scored a touchdown, took the lead because you didn't settle for the field goal, and then they tacked on a late field goal. And the game would have been totally different if it's tied at 20 instead of 20-17 and then ultimately 23-17. They pissed that game away. But the Giants also made plays, which is what they've done all year long. If Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Fat American writes, Lou, why can't this team just win comfortably? That's not who they are right now. They're still trying to learn how to win. We can't complain about the comfort level of the victory because we're not there yet. We're not that kind of a football team. We're not in a position to put teams away yet. We're not there. When we start converting in the red zone, when we start making our kicks on field goals, when we stop having self-inflicting penalties that kill us, when we stop throwing pick sixes, almost fumble away a scoop and score, then we'll be able to talk about winning comfortably. But when you miss kicks, when you throw a pick six, when you're 1 of 4 in the red zone, these are the types of games you play. When you've got the Packers on the ropes 3 different times on 3 different third downs and you give them a first down each time, and then a pass interference that sets up a touchdown, you find yourself on the edge of your seat, or in my case, standing up, clinging to a 2-point lead. We're not there yet. All those things I just told you mean we're not there yet. We're not that team yet. We're striving to be a better team. We're not there yet. He says, what is that? Is that a mental thing? Can't just put anybody away even when they're giving us a chance. Yeah, that it's not necessarily a mental thing as much as physically we're not there yet. Physically, we're not there yet. We may get there. Physically, we may be able to line up against a team late in the ball game and ram it down their throat. We're not there yet. Physically, we're not there yet. Mentally, we're not there yet either, where we look at an opponent, we got them down, and we're like, hey, we about to stomp a mud hole in these chumps. We're not there yet mentally. We're just trying to find a way to win. All right. Rob U, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Rob U, who writes, Lou, very solid effort from 4, but we know what he is. Neither 4 or 11 is the future of the quarterback here. Got to find that guy to have a weekly consistent chance. I think that's a very apt statement right there. Don't think either one of those guys are the future here in Washington. But I'm not asking Heinicke to be. I'm asking Heinicke to be the best version of Taylor Heinicke he can be, because I think Heinicke is and I've said this already, as long as Scott Turner is here, Heinicke's the backup here. As long as Scott Turner is in the NFL, Taylor Heinicke will have a job. So I would like it to be here. Now, if I could disassociate myself from Scott Turner, find an upgrade at that, play calling position and still keep Heinicke, I'd love it. But at the end of the day, I don't think Turner's going anywhere anytime soon. And hence, I don't think Taylor Heinicke is going anywhere. But I love him as a backup. I've already stated that. So he's continuing to prove why he should be the backup here for a long time. Jeff Antonio, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Jeff writes, Heinicke 2.0 equals the key to victory. Quick throws on the run. None of his pocket junk from last year. He's a run and gun guy. Let's play to his strengths. Limit the interceptions. We have ourselves a team. Lou, you agree? I think there are aspects of your comment that I agree with. Not all of it. I think him throwing on the move is cool. He showed us he could do that. I think a couple of those backpedaling throws, like the one where Terry absolutely undressed Jair Alexander on a whip route. And I think that was the play. That might have been the set of downs where we threw it to Amani Rodgers on first down. And I think that might have been it. I could be wrong. But Terry runs a whip route. Looks like he's going to run a slant. Then he turns and whips that bitch back outside. And Jair Alexander is still stuck on the slant. And it's pressure. He's backpedaling. He hangs that bitch up. But it gets to Terry finally. And Terry still has the ability to turn the corner, stay in bounds, get the first down, and force the Packers to have to use a timeout. It was a genius and brilliant play by Terry. But it was an even better opportunity given to him by Taylor Heinicke. It wasn't the cleanest throw, but it got there. And so, him throwing on the move, I just think him being able to create more time within the pocket. You saw him do that on a number of different occasions in this game. His ability to just keep plays alive. We thought we were getting that with Wentz, and we never did. I told you when Wentz was finally injured and it was confirmed that he was not going to play for the foreseeable future. I said the thing that's been the most disappointing with Wentz to this point is the inability for him to extend plays. I thought we were getting a playmaker off schedule. We haven't gotten that to this point. Heinicke brings that element to the table. All right. I'm not saying when he gets out there, he's going to be throwing darts 40 yards down the field, but his ability to extend plays, we saw it today. It's a big effing deal. Even just being mobile within the pocket, something that Carson Wentz is not. Stepping up, eluding, evading. How many times did Heinicke attack the A-gap with just stepping up, dodging one way, and then getting into the A-gap? Whether it's to throw the football or to run for 4 or 5 yards and slide. Even the play where he fumbled on. He should have been more decisive in his ability to run. He had no idea that Rashawn Gary was coming from the backside, but just for him to even be able to escape on that play, vintage Taylor Heineke. Playing to his strengths, I think it means you need to run the football. Like, we don't want Heineke throwing it. How many times he throw today? 33, right? I think that's the number. 33 times. Even that's a little bit much. I like my Taylor Heineke from the Panthers game. I think he was 18 of 21 or 17 of 21 in that game against the Panthers for like 230 yards and like 2 or 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. That's how I like my Taylor Heineke. I mean, ideally, he would throw it anywhere from 20 to 27 times in a game. Anything north of 30, and you're like, okay, we're pushing it, but he got it done. But yeah, he's got to limit the interceptions for sure. Rob Yu, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rob Yu writes, Cornelius Lucas is so underrated as a swing tackle. For those that aren't paying attention, he is. But for people like yourself and me and others out there that are paying attention, we know the value that exists. I was upset when I thought they were going to allow him to walk in free agency. Swing tackles don't grow on trees. Not a lot of teams have a guy that they trust in the capacity that we trust Cornelius Lucas to go in the game and perform at the level that he does. Not a lot of teams. We had it with Ty Nsekhe. We have it now with Cornelius Lucas. We've been really fortunate. Remember when David Sharp was the swing tackle and he sucked ass? Like, that's scary to know that, that exists. That's not the case anymore. Cornelius Lucas has locked it down. And again, you could argue that him at right tackle and Sam Cosmi kicking inside gives you your best 5. But Cosmi, I don't think he played today. Let's see. I could be wrong. I don't think that Cosmi played today. Let's see. Washington inactives. Cosmi, Bates, Dotson were all right. Let's see. All right. Brown, Jackson, Wentz. We already knew all of that. All right. Jahan Dotson, De'Ami Brown. So Sam Cosmi was active today. The question was, did he start the game? Did he play today in the game? Because I know Cornelius Lucas started, and I saw the guards. I don't think he played. I think he was active, and if he had to go, he could have gone, but I don't think he was active today. I mean, I don't think he played today because I remember both guards being in the game, Sadiq Charles and Andrew Norwell, and I know that Cornelius Lucas played right tackle, so I'm pretty sure Cosmi was active, could have gone today if he needed to, but he didn't have to. They could be working him at guard. I don't know. Ron, wouldn't say, and he shouldn't say, but I think that possibility exists. But the only reason it does even exist, that conversation is worth having, is because we got such a good swing tackle, to your point, in Cornelius Lucas. V Chow, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, seems like the Packers had a conservative game plan. Lots of runs, quick outs, and checkdowns. Also, Jamin Davis keeps getting better. Quietly. No one's talking about Jamin Davis because he's not making the blunders he was earlier in the season. Quietly. No one's talking about Jamin Davis because, it's not the sexy thing to do to give a guy that you didn't want to like credit. But quietly, Jamin Davis is putting together, along with Cole Holcomb, a very solid campaign this season. The Packers had a conservative game plan because what did Aaron Rodgers say during the week? We need to simplify. We're doing too much with young players who don't have a good grasp of the playbook. Our veteran players who do understand the playbook, they're getting injured. All right. Samuel Watkins was out. Randall Cobb is now out. And so you're dealing with a bunch of young guys. And because of that, you need to simplify what you're doing. Get back to the basics. So, and Rodgers is dealing with a thumb injury, and there's turmoil on the offensive line. So the game plan was simple. Get it out of Rodgers' hands quickly. run the football. They didn't even execute those things well because they only ran the football. I think I told you guys, 12 times, right? And they had some success early, and then they just stopped for whatever reason. So I'll take it. I'll take the conservative approach. They were struggling. They tried to find a way to manufacture offense. It didn't work. And Davis definitely is getting better and better and better. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. OG Triple OG writes, a running game is Taylor Heineke's kryptonite. Is his kryptonite? I don't know about that. I think it's his best friend, honestly. When we run the football effectively, those are the games where he's been at his best, honestly. It's when we've asked him to be Superman. He's had his moments, Atlanta, New York last year, but there have been more of the Buffalo games, the New Orleans game, the Chiefs game, the first Dallas game, the second Dallas game. There have been more of those games, the Denver game, where we've tried to force Heineke to be the man, and he struggled. There have been more of those opportunities in games than there have been the Giants and Atlanta from last year. So to me, the run game is his best friend, not his kryptonite. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I don't think we will have a heart attack versus the Colts. You didn't hear that shit from me. That was take command for life. That didn't come from me. Any win that we get right now is going to be a heart attack win. And even some losses like the Tennessee game, heart attack. Trust me, the Colts will play well next week against us. The question is, will we play better and good enough to get the win? Heavy K, Commander fan, double up, thank you for doubling up, who writes, Heineke is scary and exciting at the same time. Yes, he is. I can't tell you how many of those balls he threw tonight that hung up in the air. I mean, they were like hang time punts. I was clocking them with my watch. Shit, hang time of 3.8. Not bad. Except that it's a pass and I don't want it in the air for 3.8 seconds. And so, yeah, that shit's scary. The ball he threw to Terry at the end of the game, I'm thinking that might get picked and go the other way. And Terry has to come. If Terry doesn't come back for that, at a bare minimum, it's knocked down. It might get picked off. But Terry comes back and catches it. That's scary, right? But it worked out. There are some passes that just, he's going to produce a ton of edge of your seat thrillers. You're not always going to leave the movie excited about the finish, but you got your money's worth. And I think that's kind of the Ryan Fitzpatrick model, right? Which is why people are excited about Heineke, because no matter what, you're going to get your money's worth. That's how people felt about Ryan Fitzpatrick. Not always going to be the outcome you're looking for, but you're going to get your money's worth. Kind of feel that way about Taylor Heineke too. Atomic Ant, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Atomic Ant writes, Jamin Davis is playing at a high level now. He's playing at a much higher level than he was earlier. And again, it's so funny because one of the scapegoats of the early season was Jamin Davis. It was with his staff, but more importantly with the fans. Like, a lot of people were using him as a scapegoat. And I had my moments where I wasn't too thrilled with him, but I said, he's a second-year linebacker. I expected big things from him, and he's playing well. But he's a second-year linebacker. And I get it. Some of you want to see results instantly because you look at other players and they're producing, right? But everybody's not the same. All players are not created equal. And I think they figured out, and he's figured out some things, but I think they figured out what was some of the better ways to deploy him as a defender. And he made some nice tackles. They threw a swing pass out in the flats, and he was having none of it today. About a 3-yard tackle for loss. Thought Jamin Davis was really good in the football game. Alex Kurtz, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Alex, who writes, all three phases made great plays, but also had awful mistakes that gave Green Bay a chance. I was tense and tight all the way to the last play. Facts. You had special teams with the down punt. You had special teams with the recovery of the muffed punt. So they made some big plays in this game. Then you had, Joey Sly. He's a sly guy. Doo-doo. Had him miss a field goal. And then on the chip shot 19-yarder, that shit, it was good, and it probably was good by a long shot, but on the TV, it didn't look good from a long shot, right? Like, so every time he steps up, you're a little nervous. Obviously, the offense had their moments. The Terry touchdown pass, the Antonio Gibson touchdown pass, those were throws of beauty. And some of the runs were outstanding, but then there was the pick six. There was the near fumble, scoop and score. So there was those plays, right? Then defensively, 0 of 6 were the Packers on third down, 0 of 1 on fourth down were the Packers. Defensively, you're saying, oh, shit. But then you don't hit Aaron Rodgers a ton. You don't sack him at all in this game. You limit the run, but I thought they kind of got away from it unnecessarily, but that's not our problem. That's theirs. And then, of course, you got the penalties late in the ballgame that kept the Packers alive, which you just can't have. We were doing so well in the penalty department going into that drive, and then we utterly self-destructed. Take it any way we can get it, though. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Metaphor writes, Scott's goal line offense was his typical trash, though. Yeah, I agree with that. He lacks creativity down there. He lacks the ability to isolate one-on-one matchups and try to get his guys involved. That's why we were 1 of 4 in the red zone. Typical Scott Turner malaise down in the red zone. Marcus B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Marcus B writes, if teams shut down run and we force to throw, dicey. Yeah, we have to run the football. That's not optional. If we do not have a run game, then we have a problem. Like that is such a true statement. For where we are as a football team, only teams with a legitimate top half of the league quarterback are in a position where if they have to throw it, they can, and they can rely on their quarterback to win them a football game. Really, probably top 12 quarterbacks or so in the league, if you even want to narrow the focus. We're not in that group. So having our quarterback consistently throw the football, having the run game be ineffective is really not optional for us. It's going to make it tough on us as an offense. And more importantly, it's going to put too much pressure on Taylor Heineke. And we've seen how he's done when the pressure has been too great in his career to this point. So don't want to see him in that type of role. We need to run the football and remain somewhat balanced. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny writes, I co-sign what Metaphor just super chatted, which was Scott Turner's offense in the red zone was typical trash. And I co-sign that as well. I do as well. Neither of you are wrong about that. Spence Colleagues. I did like the back shoulder fade attempt to Cole Turner. I didn't like the execution. Spence Colleagues, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Spence writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, credit Terry, Mr. 20 mil made 20 mil plays. I am hard on him, I admit, but where much is given, much is expected. Feels good to win back-to-back. You're not the only one. There were others that have used that 20 mil line as a way to attack Terry as if he doesn't deserve it. And look, to each its own. I'm never going to tell you what you should or shouldn't say or how you should or shouldn't feel. I can just tell you that there hasn't been one time this season where I've looked at Terry and said, man, that's a waste of money, or he didn't deserve that contract, or he's not living up to the contract. I never felt that way because of what he's had to endure. This has been a career-long thing for him where it's been a revolving door at quarterback. There hasn't been one season he's played in his career where he hasn't had multiple quarterbacks under center during the course of the season. And so he's doing it again. He's going through an offense that, can barely throw a 5-yard pass last week against the Chicago Bears. And now, and even still saying all of that, Terry's probably halfway to 1,000 yards with all the foolishness that's going on Let's take a look. And 1,000 yards is becoming less and less impressive with the more games they add. If you're any kind of a receiver, you should end up with 1,000 yards. But with what he's had to deal with, it's hit different this year. He's got to be every bit of close to 500 by now. He's got, let's see. He's got 367. I thought he had a little bit more than that this season, but and he's got 2 touchdowns. I don't know if they factored in his yards today. I think that 367 is what he had coming into today's ball game. I think the 73 added to that total would put him at 440 on the season and 2 touchdowns. So the 440, that's right around what I thought where he would be, right around 500 yards receiving. For what he's had to deal with, for the games that we've had offensively where we couldn't protect, the Eagles game, the Cowboys game, the Bears game was a joke. For him to even be remotely close to 500 yards at roughly 440 is ridiculous. So, yeah, Terry's that dude, and he's made big plays. One of the biggest plays against Jacksonville. We were down in the dumps. Jaguars had taken full control of that game, and Terry has the 40-something yard touchdown from Carson Wentz that kind of ignited us and jump started that comeback. And then today, big catch after big catch after big catch. You got the touchdown grab that I thought really ignited this team. Then you had the catch and run to stay in bounds, get the first down. That's huge. And then you get the catch on third down to pretty much put us in a position where the win percentage was through the roof. Like, all right, your win probability is probably after that Terry catches. It wasn't 99.9 because we couldn't take knees because of those 6 seconds that remained on the clock when he went out of bounds before the 2-minute warning. But it put it at like 98.4. I don't know. I'm just making up a number. Put the probability at like 98.4. So Terry was huge today. It's huge. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, all these TH4 fans are delusional, respectfully. I wouldn't call them delusional. They just want a reason to believe. And he gives you a reason to believe. Now, you have to keep it in its proper perspective. You want a reason to believe, but you also have to believe that he's not the long-term solution. I'm not telling you that, and a lot of these fans that, are on the Heineke bandwagon aren't telling you that he's the future at the quarterback position. They're just telling you he gives us the best chance to win right now. They're not wrong about that, by the way. So, Red Wings 01, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Red Wings 01 writes, wasn't pretty. Heineke was trash at first. Should have had like 4 picks. Agree with all of that. Got dudes lit up. Did do that as well. Got bailed out from having a fumble returned on him. Did have that as well. But he got into his groove. Terry still owns Jair. And I'll just add one thing to that comment because everything you said was spot on. I'll just add this. And he showed something that I thought he lacked at times, not all the time. That Giants game is a great example of perseverance, overcoming adversity. Through the pick late in that game to James Bradbury, looks like the game might be over. Defense gets a stop, gets it back to him one final time, and he gets us into field goal range. But last year, he did not handle adversity well. When it rained, it poured. And when shit went bad, it went from bad to worse with Heineke. It could have easily snowballed today. And it could have gone from bad to worse, but it didn't. And that's because he never stopped believing in himself. He never stopped trying to make plays. And he never allowed the moment. And I thought there were moments last year where it was just too big for him. He never allowed the moment to be too big for him. You're playing Aaron Rodgers. It's your childhood team growing up. He could have put a lot of undue pressure on himself. I get it. He played them last year at Lambeau. And so maybe some of that mystique and luster from the matchup might have been, removed for him, but you still want to go out and beat Aaron Rodgers. That's a big effing deal. And he could have allowed this moment to get too big for him, but he didn't. So I got to give him credit for that. Let's check some of these scores out. Seahawks look like they're trying to beat the Chargers for real. 49ers and Chiefs, that's a good game. Jets and Broncos, that's a good game. And the Raiders finally woke the hell up, and now they're spanking the Texans. So, and the Phillies are going to the World Series. Ew, that's nasty. Couldn't agree with you more, Red Wing 01. A lot of good there in that comment. A lot of truth in that comment. Commander Optimistic 3 and 4. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Tress Way is our best player. That was a true statement probably every bit of 3-4 years ago. Probably more like 4 years ago, but that's not the case anymore. He was good today, but I needed him to be better at the end of the game on that last punt, but he was really good today. Second week in a row, he's caused a muffed punt, with his ability to kick the football. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Metaphor writes, I said Sly was nervous as ish last week. Pissed his pants. It was you. I know somebody said it, and I think it was multiple people. You and like one other person said it. And I didn't see him when he was going to kick the football. So I didn't see his face. I didn't see if he was nervous or looked like the moment might have been too big for him. But clearly, today I was watching it, these mannerisms, and he looked like he wanted to vomit. So that's something to keep an eye on with him for sure. Then when he misses, this is the second week in a row he misses, and he just stands there and kind of stares like, oh my God, I can't believe I just missed. I'm like, bro, get your ass off the field, man. After you miss a kick, don't just stand there. Get your ass off the damn field. Don't stand there in disbelief. Red House, not Roadhouse. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who double up? Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, bring back Blewett as our kicker? LOL. Hell no. Like I said, we need him to be more consistent. Joey Sly, right? He's been solid to this point this season. Hasn't kicked a bunch of field goals. Our first field goal attempt didn't come until like week 5. He had one against Dallas. They ended up jumping off sides, so we took the field goal off the scoreboard. And I think he ultimately did kick a field goal, though, because we ended up with 10 points in that game, if I'm not mistaken. Did we get a safety? No, we got the safety against the Eagles. So his first field goal attempt, I think, came in week 4. So he hasn't had a ton of opportunities, but it's not how many you miss, is when you miss them that kind of stands out like a sore thumb. And now this is 2 weeks in a row. He's missed some big kicks. We were down 14-10 when he missed a kick today. Could have crushed any momentum that we were trying to build. If the Packers take that field position, because that was a 47-yard field goal, so that's great field position. If they had taken that field position and scored a touchdown and we lost the game, we would be looking at that as a turning point in the game. Okay, last week we had a chance to go up by 8, kick it off deep, and force the Bears to need a touchdown driving the length of the field. Instead, he misses a kick. It's 12-7. A touchdown beats you. And mind you, the Bears now have great field position. So it's not always how many you miss. It's when you miss them. That was Dustin Hopkins. Remember, people used to point to his field goal percentage last year. Well, he's only missed this many kicks. It's when you miss some of these kicks that matters as well. Red Wings 01. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Greatly appreciate you, Red Wings 01 writes. We also got lucky with a ton of Green Bay drops, and both sides committed dumb penalties, not to mention Sly Guy. Both teams could have blown out the other. Absolutely. I said it at the top of the show, and I've repeated myself multiple times. This is not the same Packers team. They clearly helped us out today. I feel like every single win we have, we say the same thing after the game. The other team could have won this game very easily if not for the mistakes. We said that after the Jacksonville game. We definitely said that after the Bears game, and we said that again today. The only game, had we beaten Tennessee, that would have been the only one that I would have felt like, hey, we just beat Tennessee. It was a solid game by both teams, but we just beat them. They didn't give anything to us. They didn't turn the ball over in that game. They didn't do anything stupid. They didn't have any. The reason we kept saying they tried to give us the game is because they had the egregious penalty to put the ball at the 2-yard line. But that would have been a clean game right there. This game looked a lot like week 1 against Jacksonville, where Packers could have easily won this game. Missed some opportunities. Rodgers rolls out to his right, extends the play, finds a wide open Amari Rodgers, and he just overshoots him. Rodgers dives, can't pull it in, drops it, and Benjamin St-Juste, gets away with one. Easily could have been an explosive there. If Rodgers drops it in the bucket, that's a touchdown. We're not even talking about a big play down to the Washington 23 or whatever. But he dropped it, and it wasn't an easy catch to make, but it's a catch that's he's capable of making. And the third down drop by Dobbs, then the fourth down drop by Dobbs, and that Kendall Fuller, you got to give him credit for that, being there, Johnny on the spot, bang bang play, tries to catch it, and Fuller hits him and the ball comes loose. But they had some drops. Let's call a spade. Absolutely. I don't know. Yeah, both teams could have blown the other out, because if Heineke's fumble if there's no illegal contact on that play, Green Bay is one step closer to giving us work in this game. Because I don't know if we're able to overcome that one mentally. You already gave up one pick six. Now you're giving up a scoop and score. I don't know if we're able to overcome that. Grande Groove, thank you for super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Grande Groove writes, eating grilled cheese tonight. Is that a victory grilled cheese? Is that a victory grilled cheese? Red Wing 01, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, sucks seeing Cole Turner get hurt, but I love the way they use the money at tight end. Wildcat, even fullback. He needs more opportunities. I couldn't agree more. And I talked about Scott Turner being in his bag and being creative. That was one of the plays that I was talking about. Amani Rodgers, who's a former college football quarterback, taking a high snap, but because he's 6'5", he was able to corral it with no problem and hand it off to Curtis Samuel. And that turned out to be a really good run for Samuel in the red zone. That's what you want to see. Creativity, diversity, different guys touching the football. I love to see it. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, so you're saying TH4 is Flavor Flav? Come on, bro. I'm not saying it. He's not just a hype man. There's substance, behind Taylor Heineke. But he's definitely a hype man. And not in the sense of, spliff star, where he's on stage and you're like, hey, just let Bust. You just shut up over there and just let him do his thing, right? But he's definitely capable of getting guys to rally, right? So that's all I'm saying, man. I'm just like, he's definitely capable of getting, like, Chase Young running behind him and pointing at his nameplate. Like, that's the kind of emotion he evokes out of his teammates. They're juiced and pumped in the locker room after this one. Why? Because of 4. That's why. 4 made it happen today. You can say what you want. Again, let's not overblow this, but 4 made it happen. 4 giveth, he taketh away. He did both in this game. Understand that that's who he is as a football player. So, he's not just Flavor Flav. He brings some substance to and I guess Flavor Flav brought substance to Public Enemy, right? Like, he wasn't just the hype man. He had a couple of lines in there every now and again. Spence Kalis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Joshua Carty, kicker from Stanford, is money. 6th-round pick. I'd love to see it. I would love to see. And I don't know him from Adam from Eve. I know they played Notre Dame, and the dude was kicking bombs against us. And so I've seen him in action. I know his work. I know what he's capable of. I don't know his body of work. I don't know if this is something he's been like one of the most accurate kickers in Stanford history. I don't know if he's 5 of 6 from 50 plus. Like, I don't know the numbers. I'd have to see that. But I'm definitely interested in next year's draft, back into the draft, looking at some kickers. I want my own Shooter McPherson. You know, the Cade York kid from LSU, he's stinking it up right now for the Browns, but he may ultimately be okay. I just want my guy. When I look at the Raiders and see they spent the draft pick on Carlson and how good he is, I look at the Chiefs and then look at the draft pick they spent on Harrison Butker. I look at the Bengals and I look at the draft pick they spent on their kicker, McPherson. I'm like, yo, I need some of that in my life. I'm sick and tired of these retreads, these guys that are getting it done. We may have to spend some draft capital on our own kicker. We may have to do that. And I'm not opposed to it. I used to be opposed to it. I'm no longer opposed to it. Red House, not Roadhouse. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Wild Goose is no longer some fool on the loose. LOL. He most certainly is not. Okay. I think he's earned my respect. I thought he took steps towards earning my respect against Tennessee. I thought he fully gained my respect against Chicago. And now he's went even further to the point now where I'm starting to trust him. I'm starting to trust him now. I never thought I would find myself saying that about Rashad Wildgoose after his first appearance in week number 3 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Never thought that I would be sitting here telling you, hey, Rashad Wildgoose he's not bad. I actually think he's really solid. Again, I know a lot of you don't like to give Ron and the staff and his scouting department any credit for anything. You got to give them credit. You got to give them credit for going and plucking John Ridgeway away from the Cowboys. You got to give them credit for finding Rashad Wildgoose. You got to give them credit. These guys have played well for us. KC, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. KC writes, WJ3 is our new WJ37. Congratulations, Wild Goose. You're now number 3. Or you're number 3 now. I don't think you can make a in-season number change, but what they're going to trade. I think once he gets healthy enough, they're going to try and trade William Jackson III. And if they're successful in doing that, that opens up number 3. I don't think you can make an in-season number change. I don't think that's possible. But I'd like to see Wild Goose get out of 37. But he's 37 for now. Let's just let him continue to play, make sure he doesn't make an ass out of himself, and then we can get you into a nice, comfy, cozy number. Stay at 37 for now. J-Mart, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MLBB. J-Mart writes, Lou, ND and Commanders both get ugly wins. Feels good. Was Notre Dame's win ugly? Pretty sure they kicked UNLV's ass. Now, I turned away from that one at halftime. It was 30-7. But I could be wrong. Let me just go check real quick and see what they did. No, we won 44-21. I'm pretty sure I wasn't tripping. That wasn't ugly. But look, a win's a win's a win. I don't give a shit how it looks. Both of them won over the weekend, and that does feel good. Period. End discussion. Red Wing 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Red Wing 01 writes, we get in Diami, Logan, Jahan, and Chase back. I don't know when exactly all those guys are coming back, but at some point you'd like to think that all of them would be back all at the same time. Wouldn't that be grand? And that's kind of the hope right now is at some point you're going to get reinforcements coming to add to what we're trying to build here. So that should be reassuring to some of you, but I don't like to play the we're getting these guys back soon game, because soon could be 6 weeks from now. We thought we were getting Jahan back today. He tweaked it again in practice this past week. So I don't know, man. At some point, you'd like to think that all these guys will be back. And then you hope that they don't tag themselves in and somebody else out, right? Like you just get these guys all in the field at once. But it does feel good to be winning despite having guys out and hoping that, hey, help is on the way. Just hold on. All right. Just hold on. Help is on the way. That does feel good. All right. King of the North. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. King of the North, who writes, how many times did we see Green Bay bring the house only to see a backpedaling Heineke throw to a spot on the field where a receiver could run under it for a catch? Behind the QB cam showed so much. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like the throw to Terry. He's backpedaling on the whip route. They send a pressure and he's backpedaling his ass off and he gets it to Terry. It wasn't cute. It wasn't as efficient as you would like it to be, but Terry broke him off so much so that there was so much separation. He had time to catch a punt and still turn the corner, stiff arm him, stay in bounds, and get the first down. There's another Terry throw on a shallow cross. It was only a 4-yard gain, but they came with all-out pressure, and Wentz would have been sacked. He would have been sacked. Instead, Heineke backpedals, lofts it up there. Terry's able to catch it, gain 4 yards. Instead of it being second or third and 6, it's now instead of it being second and 17 after a sack, it's second and 6 or third and 6. Makes a huge difference. So yeah, we saw a lot of that. MTM, Marantha, Maranthar. I'm going to leave that one alone. MTM, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Louie, do we need to worry about Joey Slye? Not yet. Not yet. Just watch him. Just keep your eye on him. But not yet. I don't think so. Just keep an eye on him. Marcus B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Marcus B, who writes, what best should happen for QB next year? The best thing for us is to find a guy in the draft if we can. I've said this all along that Sam Howell should not play this year under any circumstances because that would mean we were good all the way until the end of the season. And if that happens, we're not drafting a quarterback because they still may think Sam Howell could be the future of the quarterback position for this team. So that was the silver lining in getting him in the 5th round was like, you don't have to rush. There's nothing that says he has to be your franchise quarterback because you didn't spend a 1st or a 2nd round pick on him. So there's nothing really tying you to him as the future, but you like the fact that you've got a young guy that's developing on the roster so that if these guys don't work, at least you don't feel pressured into having to select a quarterback early next year. But if you love these guys at the top of the draft, I think you do everything you can to get your hands on one of these dudes, despite having Sam Howell already on the roster. That's just my personal opinion. But again, we will see. Bradley Roche, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Bradley Roche writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Louie, the best part of this game was the complimentary football. The defense was steadfast in the beginning. At the end, when the defense had a hiccup, the offense stands up. P.S. Check yo DMs. On what social media account? On IG or Twitter? Which one? Let me know. Yeah. So to your point, there was a bit of complimentary football going on in the game, especially I think when Washington started to get their shit together from the midpoint of the 2nd all the way until the late stages of the 4th. First of all, it start with the defensive stop. Then it would be a solid return. Or the offense wouldn't convert, and then Tress Way would punt, and we would pin them, and we would have an opportunity that way. But it was good defense, leading a good field position. Offense moved the football, even if it didn't turn into points or it was a disaster. But it was keeping it. The defense was. We never felt like the defense was gassed today. This is the first time I think we could say that all season long, other than probably week 1. This is the first time where there in no stretch of this game that I feel like, oh my God, the defense is being asked to do too much. They consistently got breathers on the sideline, whether it's because of these long ass reviews or we just sustained offense. But I told you, it's tough because with Heineke, and he did throw the touchdown pass to Terry, but one of the Antonio Gibson touchdown drive, 12 plays, 80 yards, 5 minutes and some change of the clock. And you're like, yeah, that's what we're going to be, but that's tough because one mistake can throw that entire drive off and you could have to punt. So it felt good. Stand up. We in the building. You know what it is. Bradley Roche, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Bradley, who writes, still a lot of work to do. Penalties, yuck. D-line inconsistent. It's plenty of work to do. You know, and it doesn't stop there. You know, kicker needs to be more consistent. Red zone offense needs to be more consistent. Quarterback needs to be more consistent. But you do all of that, you say all of that with a win, and that's the most important part. That's the part that feels good and makes you feel like, hey, we got a chance to really get back into the swing of things and make it interesting, not just in the playoff picture, but in the NFC East as well. Who knows what's going to happen? Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My God, Big Money Sonny writes, we rocking with a Pinto, aka salad bowl hubcaps, and people out here believing we rocking a Lamborghini. Come on now. I don't think that's what they're saying, man. I don't think that's what they're saying, Big Money Sonny. I think because you're frustrated at how we're winning and understand that we don't have a quarterback, and you're trying to convey the point that Heineke is not the long-term solution. I think most people are smart enough to understand that. That doesn't mean they can't be excited about Taylor Heineke in the interim until we find that guy. I don't think – look, there are some people that think Heineke needs a chance to be the guy. And that ship has sailed for me, okay? I'll never look at Taylor Heineke as a starting quarterback in this league. But I do think Taylor Heineke, and I've said this numerous times, he's one of the best backups in football. I feel confident in saying that. And today was another example of why I think he's one of the better backups in football, because he's going to give you a chance to win. He's also going to give you a chance to lose, but he's also going to give you a chance to win. And he did that today. I don't think anybody's, parading around talking about we coming for the Eagles. If they're doing that, they're doing it tongue in cheek. They're not actually serious. Like, I think you're overrating some of the people's excitement. Like, they understand. Most people. I can't speak for everyone. Alex Kurz, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, fans deserve that play by TH and Scary Terry. I personally needed that. I watched this team because I love my players, geeked on seeing them thrive. That was so much fun to watch them kind of play off of each other's juice on that particular touchdown. Seeing Terry so amped, seeing him animated, seeing Heineke animated, got his hat on like this and shit. Like, what? Put his hat on with some swag like, y'all get off me. They thought I was finished. They thought I was washed. What? Like, I love it, man. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see that excitement. This is a kid's game that they get paid to play. Have fun. Losing sucks. It sucks the joy out of the game and playing it. And as fans, it sucks watching them play like they're just playing for a paycheck. You want to see dudes go out there and succeed. You want to see guys having fun throughout the process of having fun or trying to get the job done. So it was fun watching all of that. It was fun watching all of that. Let's see. The real Louie Tee. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. The thumbnails get me on those every time. I did it, Lou. I did it. Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. Anyway, the real Louie Tee. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Double up. Who writes, I brought home the dub. Aha. He said, you thought you caught me. That was a reverse got. So actually you got, but got different. Got it? No, but yes. If you were at the game, you brought home the dub, and that, my friends, is worth that super chat in itself. That felt good, man. I'm not going to lie to you. That one felt really good. getting that win. Jackass in the box. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Jackass in the box writes, Lou, can we give Holcomb and Davis some love? They're improving every game. Yep. I think some of you are slowly coming around to that. We've had a couple of Jamin Davis comments. We've had 1 or 2 Cole Holcomb comments. And I do think they deserve some love, man. He blew up a screen today, did Cole Holcomb. Continues to be really solid in the run game. I think they're getting better in pass defense. You saw that from Jamin Davis a little bit today. There's still, strides that they can take in other areas to continue to improve their game, but they're coming along nicely, man, to the point where I don't know. We still need depth at linebacker. This is not optional, but we don't need to invest early draft capital on a linebacker if these guys continue to play. Like, they're going to have to pay Cole Holcomb. He's a free agent after the season. They're going to have to pay him. And I thought he was going to be one of their priorities. I think they wanted to see it from him. I think they're seeing it from him. And so now I think they're going to be a little bit more comfortable in doing what it takes to keep him here in Washington. But he's playing well. He needs to continue to play well along with Jamin Davis. But I like the direction that they're trending in. Both of them have the arrows pointing upward in terms of trajectory. So, yes, Jackass in the box, both of them definitely deserve a little bit of credit. Bradley Roche, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Bradley Roche writes, all I'll say, I love me an angry boy Heineke after a big play. That walk is different, though. You gotta admit, the Heineke walk after a big play, it's not quite the Conor McGregor arm swing, right? But whatever the notch under that is, that's what the Heineke I just made a big play walk is. And the shit gets me amped every time. So I'm right there with you, Bradley. Love the angry, I just made a play, Taylor Heineke walk for sure. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, did we not have a single big injury this game? I'm not sure about that. Other than the Cole Turner, injury, which is significant. You're losing a tight end there, a young one that we want to see more of with the concussion. Outside of that, I don't think there were any really big injuries on the Washington side, but you don't know because we say that and then we, find out Monday this guy tweaked a hamstring or this guy's got a calf. Like, we didn't know Logan Thomas got injured when he got injured. He didn't leave the game at all in that game. And then we find out, I think that was the Dallas game, if I'm not mistaken. And then we find out the next day he's got a calf or something like that. So I don't think anything happened other than the Cole Turner concussion, but you never know. Wilfredo Elias, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, first time in the Ron Rivera era, I can confidently say we outcoached the opponents. Also, I will always have love and respect for Four in the heart he plays with. There were other times in 2020 in particular where we outcoached, Dallas went for it on a fake punt and things of that nature. I don't know if I can make that statement, but I can say with 100% certainty, this is the first game this season that Ron has outcoached the opposition. And really his entire staff, I thought, outcoached Green Bay's entire staff. So with that said, this is the first time this season we can make that statement. I think that is actual factuals. And, Four will always evoke that kind of emotion out of most fans because, again, you can't help but root for this. I said it during the week. You can't help but root for this dude, man. Cash Nash 804. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, can we catch the division? As of right now, no. Not no. Hell no is the answer right now. You got the Eagles at 6-0, the Giants at 6-1, and Dallas at 5-2. Can we just get to 500 first before we start asking questions like that? Can we just get to 500 first? Then we can start talking crazy. All right. But you got to get to 500 first. So the answer is not no, it's hell no right now. Let's see. Got a super chat here from Chauncey Davis. Chauncey Davis, OG triple OG. I didn't know you was from the 757. He says Hampton Boulevard bully. Yeah. Taylor Heineke, the Hampton Boulevard bully. For those of you not in the know, Old Dominion University is on Hampton Boulevard, and thus that's where he used the phrase Hampton Boulevard bully, Taylor Heineke. I like it. I like it a lot. Spence Kalis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Spence writes, hey, Louie, what's up, Spence? How does that last play stats work? So in terms of the stats, and, this has some luckish type qualities to it, but I will answer it anyway. At the end of games, that that last play, because it's a completion and they run all the way down the field, they get credit for the play because Washington is going to decline the penalty. So wherever that ball goes out of bounds, Aaron Rodgers is going to receive passing yardage for that play. Because if Washington accepts the penalty, there will be an untimed down. And that means they would go all the way back to the spot where the play started, move backwards, the penalty yardage, and do it again. We don't want that. We want the game to be over. So you decline the penalty. So they get all those yards that they ran around and got lateraled and did all that shit. They get all those yards, and that's how that last play works. So anyway, I digress. I'm just gonna. I know God at the end of this. That's all I know. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. You're gonna have to spell that one out syllable by syllable and pronunciate that. You're gonna have to put the little hyphens and all that shit in there. I know what the hell that's supposed to be. Thank you for the super chat. Who writes, Heineke is the new QB1. He did great last year, even with the injuries and COVID, but he stepped up after Fitz going out. I believe he should have started this year. Hashtag HTTC, hashtag bench Wentz. Now, this can be misconstrued as you think he's the answer long term. Now, if you feel like he's the answer long term, these are the types of fans you're talking to right here, Big Money Sonny. Now, again, I don't think Heineke's the answer long term, but is he the best option for this team this year? Yeah, I think he is. I do. But Heineke has to prove over the next month, without a shadow of a doubt. Like, you got to treat this like a court case. And right now, Taylor Heineke is right now the prosecution, right? Carson Wentz is the defendant. It is Heineke's job to prove without any doubt, any shadow of a doubt, that Wentz is not the guy Heineke is. All Wentz has to do is create reasonable doubt. That's it. And if Heineke doesn't play well in just one game, there's enough reasonable doubt to say that, all right, Wentz should be able to come back. If Heineke balls for 4 weeks and we win all 4 weeks, how do you say no to Heineke when Wentz is now healthy to come back? That's what you got to ask yourself. We'll see. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny writes, Alex up here talking that ish. You know what he can get. Real talk. Ain't no one catching the Eagles. Giants, though, 6-1. Why? Oh, yeah, coaching, Lou. You're not wrong. And I don't think we're catching either the Giants or the Eagles. Again, the schedule is just so forgiving for all the teams in the division. And I think every team in the division except us has played the toughest stretch of their schedule. I don't think we actually have a quote-unquote tough part of the schedule per se, but I do think Minnesota, then at Philadelphia, on the road at Houston, and then Atlanta, I think that's the toughest stretch. You could argue, you could throw Indy in there next week if you'd like, but I think it's that little period there with home for Minnesota, at Philadelphia, where that's tough. That's really tough. So I don't see us catching anybody in the division. But again, I don't even want to have those conversations. I just want to worry about us. That's all I want to worry about. Take Command for Life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Take Command for Life writes, I had my red Scary Terry jersey on the whole time. Let's try the phrase burgundy. Let's try burgundy, not red. You had your burgundy, or as they call it, the legacy burgundy jerseys. You had your legacy burgundy jersey, Terry jersey on. Maybe that's why. CGM 87. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. CGM 87 writes, good dub behind number 4. Sick about the filthies making the World Series. I am as well, but hey, they earned it. They've got that Atlanta Braves quality and aura around them right now. They seem destined to win it all. They're playing exceptional baseball right now. I watched that entire game last night, and they were down 4-0 in the first inning, went back and got 3 of them in the first inning. And from that point on, I was like, they're going to end up winning this game. After Soto homered and went up 6-4, I was like, that's it. That's the one. And then they came right back and got 4 of their own, took the lead 8-6. I said, okay, these guys are not losing. And they're going to play the Astros, and it's going to be a great series. And I'm rooting for Dusty Baker, not just because I can't stand the Phillies. It's less about them. If they win it, they win it. I'm not tripping. It's more about I want to see Dusty Baker get a World Series, but we'll see what happens. Barry Gray Beats. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Barry Gray Beats writes, here's my question. If we were to win out our games and make the playoffs, playing like we just played, close games, would y'all still call us trash? After you do it 3 or 4 times, it stops becoming trash, and that starts becoming your identity. It's easy to dismiss the win against the Bears. Oh, it was 12-7. The Bears had the ball in the red zone 3 times, came away with 0 points. The Bears are super trash. Yeah. That game was ugly. UGLY, all caps, bold. This one wasn't as ugly. This one, I take this win 10 times out of 10. I take the one against Chicago 10 times out of 10. What am I saying? But this one, I'm proud of this win. You're not going to make me feel bad for this at all. We did some really good things in this game. There were some not so good things that we have to clean up. But show me a team this season that has won a game where they didn't have some things to clean up. The Buffalo Bills beat the Rams 31-10 and turned it over 4 times. You think they weren't talking about cleaning up the turnovers? Like, shit happens in the course of a game. You make mistakes, plays get made, those guys get paid too. But you just got to find a way to win. If we win the way we won today against Indy next week, we're no longer talking about, oh my God, this team still sucks. We 4-4, we won 3 in a row. This team is finding ways to win. We're not saying the Giants have yet to win in beautiful fashion. They beat Green Bay, and that was their signature win this season. But now looking at the Packers are trash right now. So even their signature win isn't even that impressive. It still means a lot. When I look at them, that was the turning point win for me, watching them. But they beat the Panthers, ugly game. The Bears, ugly game. The Jags today, ugly game. The Ravens last week, that was a good win, a quality, wholesome win. It was ugly, but it was a win. Nobody's talking about how ugly the Giants are winning anymore. They're 6-1. Are you kidding me? We keep winning this way, and no one will care about how it looks. We're just winning football games. That's what you want to do in this league. All right. Going Commando. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Chiefs smoked the 49ers. Boy, that's a good football team there. Let me take a look at these scores real quick and see what we got going on. Wow, the Seahawks spanked the Chargers. Yikes. Damn, the Broncos stink, man. Jesus, I picked the Broncos. They stinking ass. And the Raiders took care of business. So my sheet's still going to turn out to be ass-tastic this week. I took some risk, and they backfired on me. Going Commando, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, wow, the Packers are trash. TH4 showed he's a backup, but this defense needs praise, as does the run game, Terry and Curtis. Good win. NFC is winnable. Pump your brakes on the NFC is winnable. It is available for the taking, but we're not in that conversation right now. Again, you don't get to have those types of conversations until you reach and then eclipse 500. Until then, you stay in your place. Just take it one game at a time. Continue to work and grind and try to find yourself on the right side of the scoreboard at the game's end. That's where we are. We did it for 2 weeks in a row. Let's see if we can make it a third week next week. But yeah, Heineke's a backup quarterback. I think he's shown us that, right? But for this particular team this year, maybe he's the starting quarterback. Maybe, But at some point, you want to solidify his role as the backup. Like, we don't play this yo-yo game where we have a guy that we feel good about. And so we're not there yet. Don't know when we'll get there. But in the meantime, it's good to have number 4 on the roster. Defense needs praise. They do. But at the same time, I can be critical. I talked about this earlier. I can be critical. Like I said about Heineke, you can be critical and you can praise him. You can do both at the same time. All right. Doesn't have to be one or the other. You can praise this defense. They deserve it. The Packers were 0 of 6 on third down and 0 of 1 on fourth down. Okay. You gave up 14 points today. You should win most weeks when you give up 14 as a unit. The Packers had less than 240 yards of total offense in this game. Again, this defense needs to be praised. On the other hand, I can be critical of them because when the game was in the balance, they had a chance to put it away. They had foolish penalties. They didn't get to Aaron Rodgers in this game enough. He had too much time. And so I thought they should have been able to get more pressure on him with a patchwork offensive line. They were missing their starting left tackle. We should have been able to inflict more punishment and pain on Aaron Rodgers, and we did it. And so while you can give them credit, they also helped in keeping this game a lot closer than it needed to be late. But I do think credit needs to be given. The run game I thought was phenomenal. I've given Scott Turner credit, giving him credit for creativity today, specifically in the run game. Love the fact that we saw, Curtis Samuel become a part of the run game again. Love the fact that we saw Gibson be a bigger part of the run game, 10 carries, 6 yards a pop, essentially 10 for 59. And yeah, Brian Robinson, 20 carries. So when you just look at that, that's 35 carries with 3 dudes. That's good. That's good production from the running back group. Over 4.5 yards per carry for Washington today. A lot of good things for sure. Terry and Curtis were both really good. Curtis had to drop early, responded well, thought he played well overall. Want to see him get in space more. He seems dangerous in space. Barry Gray Beats. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, am I wrong or was that deep shot to Terry? You want me to say what deep shot, right? That's what you want me to say. Yeah, no, not going to do that. Good try, though. The Great Watubi. Thank you for super chat. Greatly appreciate you. The Great Watubi writes, it was ugly, but I will take a win any way we can get it. I don't feel that way about this win. I can't speak for you guys. If we would have won this game 23-14, would you still have felt that way? Like, I just wonder. Did the way the game ended, like, I think a lot of you felt worse about the Bears win because the fact that the Bears got it all the way down to the 2-yard line or whatever it was and had a chance. I think that influenced the way that you felt about that game. Look, it was ugly either way. I think you felt worse that it came down to that. I think today's game, if we won, if the defense doesn't have the penalties, we get to stop there and the offense is able to run the clock out, take knees, and we win 23-14. I don't know if you guys are talking about ugly this, ugly that, or we won, this, that, and the third. Like there's some type of asterisk like it was last week. There's no asterisk this week. We beat Aaron Rodgers. I don't give a shit how badly they're struggling. We beat Aaron Rodgers today. Don't be excited about that. I'll just leave it at that. Trumari Cooper. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I was on the Gibby RB1 train, but I agree, Lou. His role is fire. Hate the comparison because it's Dallas. It's akin to Ezekiel Elliott and T. Pollard. Yeah, it's something like that. I think Brian Robinson's going to be our Zeke Elliott and Gibson's going to be more that Tony Pollard change of pace. dynamic back. Pollard doesn't run kickoffs anymore. They got Turpin for that. But at once upon a time, Pollard was running back kickoffs. It's not a coincidence that Tony Pollard was Antonio Gibson's teammate at Memphis. So they're similar backs. They have similar backgrounds. Those Memphis guys are very versatile. The Eagles have one as well. So this entire division, sans for the Giants, have one of those former Memphis running backs or Memphis players, ex-receiver / running back type guys that are dynamic and versatile. In this Gibby role, I'm an RB1 Gibby guy too, but I think Gibby's role as a weapon is greater than Gibby RB1 running back role, if that makes any sense. HTTC, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I like my Heineken with a mix of Terry, Samuel, Sims, B-Rob, and chased with Gibby. I'll take it. A little infusion of all of them. A couple of spirits, right? A little hint of lime. Got a little orange sandy in there, right? Shandy. So, all of those flavors help to make that a delicious beverage. When it's just Heineken and by itself, sometimes not really all that appetizing. So, yeah, definitely feel you on that, HTTC. See. The Talk Heavy Podcast. Stand up! You are officially the newest member of the MOBB. Glad to have you, Mob. You know what to do. Open your arms wide. Show the Talk Heavy Podcast some love. Look forward to chopping it up with you. We've talked in the past before, but now it's going to hit a little different because you're now a member of the MOBB. Welcome to the squad. Glad to have you. Big Money Sonny. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny writes, meanwhile, the Phillies made the World Series and my Yankees are getting cooked. Thoughts on how the World Series ends? I'm going with the Astros. They were the best team in the American League, one of the best teams in baseball all season long. They've got pitching for days. I think the Phillies bats are extremely hot right now, so that's going to be interesting because the Astros have been really pitching their asses off in the first two series. They've yet to lose a game in the playoffs, so something has to give. The Phillies have only lost twice. They've won the series 3-1 and 4-1. So really, really interesting stuff. I still think the Yankees the Astros are going to win. Red Wings 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Red Wings 01 writes, don't think I'm going to let you sweep last night under the rug. What the F was that? Here I was going to say Ja was looking like an MVP. Then Luka and his boys roll up, and now Grizzly Bears are back on the endangered list. It was a bad game. I watched it. He just got hot early. I thought the officiating early in that game helped them get off to a sharp start. It was amazing. We always struggle with if you're a Grizzlies fan, you know this. They beat us 3 out of 4 last year. We always struggle against the Mavericks. They're a divisional foe. They know us. They play us well, but you also have to understand that we're missing a bunch of guys. There's no Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks would be guarding Luka Doncic. We have nobody to guard him right now. There's no Dylan Brooks. There's no I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. The kid from Stanford. We're going way deeper into our bench than we would like to early in the season. I mean, the fact that there's no Triple J and you're starting Santi Aldama, who is playing well, but he's still Santi Aldama. He should be coming off the bench. And you're starting John Conchar, who I love, getting jitty with it, but he ain't supposed to be starting, and because you don't have your second-year player out of Stanford, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, and you don't have Dylan Brooks, it compromises you against a guy like Luka, and he had it going, and they had it going. We got our asses kicked last night. It happens. But understand, they played one game on Thursday, and that was the only game they played all season, and so this was their second game of the season. We've played 3 games in 4 nights, including that was a back-to-back. So it is what it is. We got our ass whooped. Edward Washington. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Ron's original plan was to build the roster, then get the quarterback. He should have used Carson money to fix the D and O-line, then go after a quarterback this upcoming year. Now he's where he was last year. That's an interesting take. You could argue that. Yeah. I mean, suppose Wentz doesn't get his job back, which I don't think is going to happen. I'm going to go out on the record and say, and obviously this is subject to change, but right now I'm going to say Wentz, when he's healthy, he's going to get his opportunity to play and be the starter again. That said, if Heineke, let's go with the hypothetical that Heineke wins 4 in a row and there's no way you can sit this guy down. He finishes up the season. We go 10-7 and we make the playoffs. Heineke, we play a thriller in wild card weekend. We don't get it done. But Heineke proves that he was a better option than Wentz. You decide to move on from Wentz. Yeah, you're in the same place you were last year. You're absolutely right. And you're 1 year behind where you could have been had you taken the money that you spent on Wentz and invested that. And the draft pick. Don't forget we gave up a third-round draft pick as well. You could have invested. And maybe we don't make the moves that we made in the draft to pick up more draft capital if we don't make the Carson Wentz trade. I can't say what we would or wouldn't have done. But in any event, you're right. You would have had more depth at other areas. You would have had more money to spend to create more depth at other areas and maybe even a starter here or there. And so, yeah, there's a possibility that that could be the case. You could be absolutely right when it's all said and done. I don't think you can make that statement now, however, because we haven't seen the end. We think we know how this movie ends with Carson Wentz, but we haven't seen it to the end yet. But I think we feel pretty confident we know how this movie ends already. But I digress. That's not a bad take, Edward. It really isn't. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Oh, my God, Big Money Sonny writes, salutes to the chat, but damn, hit the like. We got 500, man. That's big time. With 700 viewers, I don't know if I can ask for any more than that. Abel Ambrosio, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Abel, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, brought home the dub. Terry is him. Heineke. I need to apologize to you, Double A, for being so tardy with those tickets. You should have had those tickets 3 days ago. And I kept saying to myself, all right, I'm going to get up with him. He sent me the email. I'm going to send him these tickets. And something always came up, and I always forgot. And it didn't dawn on me until this morning that I hadn't delivered those tickets. Shout out to my wife. She was the one that actually was able. I was driving. I was en route back home, and it jogged my memory. And she was the one that actually did everything and sent you the tickets. And I'm so glad you were able to go. I wasn't sure if you were able to go to the game or not, because I sent you those tickets literally at 10 o'clock this morning, which was a big miss on my part. But shout outs to you for being able to pick up the tickets just like that and make the split decision to hit the game and go much faster than slow. And most importantly, you brought home the dub. So shout out to my guy, Abel Ambrosio. Very great beats. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, this is my third super chat, LT. Yes, it is. The second one seemed a little iffy. But nonetheless, I hear you loud and clear. Your first super chat was the best of your three. If it is in fact you. Joe Rockhead J, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Joe Rockhead J, thank you for being a member of the MOBB writes, I love seeing Terry pumped up. Celebrate! As do I. I think most of us do. We all love Terry, you know. And so to see him, we were all excited when he got his bread this offseason. It was a necessity. They had to do that. And we all want what's best for him. We all get up in arms, or most of us do. I really, truly don't. But we all get up in arms when he's not mentioned with some of the better receivers in football, when he gets left off of lists and things of that nature. It is what it is. At the end of the day, we know his worth here. We know his value. And you see it in games like this. So I love seeing him happy and pumped up. Nicholas Bouvea, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Nicholas writes, when do we see what Howell has? It's not happening unless this season goes to hell in a handbasket. And sitting here at 3-4, that's definitely not a conversation that's taking place right now. It's the furthest thing from my mind. And until you get to a point where the season is no longer in the balance, Howell's name shouldn't even be coming up. So this win, I talked about what this win signified. I asked you guys, what would a win this week mean? My answer, and I don't think I gave you my answer because I didn't want to sway anything from you guys. I wanted to hear what your answers were. What this win means for me is that we'll be playing meaningful football into the month of November. And that wasn't couldn't be reassured of that just a week or two ago. You know, going into the Bears game, sitting there at 1-4, you were one loss away from October football being it. You weren't going to be playing meaningful games into November. But now, after 2 straight victories, this win against Green Bay in particular, you're ensured that meaningful football will take place in November. And that means the Howell conversation can't take place because we're playing meaningful football. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, King of the North. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Rights. This is the first game I can remember in a very, very, very long time that we didn't allow some big pass down the field or have blown coverage. And I said that to a certain degree, and we did have opportunities. Rodgers missed Rodgers when he escaped the pocket and instructed Rodgers to take it deep, and he did, and got behind Benjamin St-Juste. Dodged the bullet there. But that easily could have been our big play that we give up every single week. And then the Sammy Watkins play at the very end, the Samuel Watkins catch and run to try to get them within striking distance for a Hail Mary attempt was a pretty big play. But again, it was the circumstances were what they were, but still a way bigger play than you would like to give up in that particular instance. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, we didn't give up. I was waiting for Rodgers to drop back and just let one rip. It never happened in this game. So that felt good. Lance Eubank, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Terry freaking McLaurin, Ben St. freaking Juiced, and B freaking Rob. Just give us 10 third rounders every year. I remember when we couldn't get right in the second round, and now all of a sudden the third round might be the charm for us, especially if De'Ami Brown turns out to be, somewhat solid for us. After the Tennessee game, we were feeling a lot better about him than, before. But yeah, the third round has been good to us. It truly has been over the last, 3 or 4 years now running. So hopefully we can keep that up and see if we can continue to create magic. But, let's expand that to, rounds 1 through 5. And every now and again hit a 6th or 7th round gem. So, yeah, you're right. All of those guys are studs and playing really well right now. Ethan Dykes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Ethan writes, Lou, shout out to ODU. You know what it is. Monarchs, y'all stand up. We in the building. Y'all know what it is. TH4 started out 0%. But fermented fast. LOL. Go on. He says, wish he was our franchise quarterback, but I know he won't be. Love him and his game. He deserves a lot. That was a good one. But I got to stop you right around wish he was our franchise quarterback. That's where I got to draw the line. Got to draw the line somewhere. I like the opportunity that he's getting. I know what he is, or at least I feel like I do. He's got time to prove me wrong. I don't think he will. I think I've seen a large enough sample size to know what he is. But and he showed us again today. He reinforced what it is we thought he was. He reinforced it today. He showed us. So he deserves a lot of credit, though, for the win today. He played with a level of energy despite some of the mistakes early, the poor throws, the pick six, the fumble that wasn't. He showed the ability to overcome adversity, something that he didn't always do last season. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Joe Rockhead J, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, when he stopped throwing behind his targets, he's 100. He was 100. it wasn't just the throwing behind targets. It was the balls that were, being left in the air like a punt, like the one on the very first play of the game. That wasn't behind the receiver. It just hung in the air forever. The pick six, yeah, that one was behind the receiver and it hung in the air forever. So there were quite a few misses in the game early, but he eventually got his shit together. And that's all that matters. I need him to start that way against Indy next week and moving forward. Start fast, not, missing opportunities and setting the other team up on a platter. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, salutes to the chameleon, a.k.a. Luck. He's stuck in rain and in traffic. He's a real G, and thanks for bringing home the dub. I don't trust it. That could be you, Luck acting as you, trying to put me and my defenses down. Like, I'm playing now. It's all love. I know he was at the game. I think he sent us a message during the game about somebody asking to take a hit of his blunt at the game. You gotta love Luck, man. Luck be all over the place. Anyway, I digress. The great Watubi, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. The great Watubi writes, after 7 games, would you rather have Jimmy G or Wentz now? Since the rumors had us going after Jimmy G in the offseason, I want no parts of Jimmy G. None whatsoever. Wentz wasn't that much better, but I'd take my chances with Wentz over Jimmy G because Jimmy G can't run anywhere. Even though Wentz seems to be immobile, if you think Wentz is a statue, take a look at Jimmy G. All right. And you want to talk about a guy being in the same offense and the offense really giving him an opportunity to be successful. You're talking about Jimmy G. You want to know why the 49ers wanted to get rid of Jimmy G? It's because while he's solid, it's the same thing with Alex Smith. Look at it the same way the Chiefs looked at Alex Smith when they drafted Patrick Mahomes. It's the same way the 49ers are looking at, Jimmy Garoppolo as they drafted Trey Lance. He's cool and he can get us, a bunch of regular season wins. And hell, Jimmy's taking us to a Super Bowl and taking us to an NFC championship game. But there's limitations and we're not going to ultimately be what we want to be with Jimmy G as quarterback. That's facts. That's how I feel about Jimmy G and probably to a much lesser extent, Carson Wentz. But I would much rather have Carson Wentz. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, Armani is the future quarterback. Keep it real, Lou. Get out of here. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, Joe Rockhead J rocking that Mike Jones back then song right now. Let's get it, Lou. I'm out, Lou. Gonna drink that red wine in 70-degree weather. Must be nice. 70-degree weather. It got real cold around these parts real fast. It was 70 yesterday. Wasn't 70 today. Enjoy it. Take a sip for me. I'm out of the alcoholic beverage game until late November. So take a sip for me, if you will, please. RVA Monarch, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, was at the game today. A great time telling the cheeseheads to go home. Yeah, it was plenty of them there. So you had a lot of Packers fans to choose from to tell them to go home. However, it just feels good when you can send the opposite. You get plenty of opportunities going to FedEx. A lot of opposition, a lot of the ops there. It's always nice when you can tell them, hey, take this L on the way out. Okay? Drive safe. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but take this L on the way out. Hell yeah. Let's see. F. Altus, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I like a lot of our players, not going to lie, but I got my eye on these coaches. Chris Harris on bum watch. Like, what the F was that drive? Just gifted the Pack a TD. We've been getting a lot of Chris Harris vitriol lately. Like, I think because some of us, and I'm included in this, have hyped him up. A lot of you are like, man, what y'all hyping that dude up for? He trash. The secondary sucks. He does, in his defense, he doesn't have a lot to work with. Like, secondary to me is one of those positions you can't fake the funk. You can't take a secondary that isn't talented and make them talented. The only way to cover up inconsistencies in the secondary is to get pressure on the quarterback. And while you say the secondary is trash, and you won't get a lot of pushback from me, they haven't been very good this season. I got to watch all 22s, but at first blush, with all the times Aaron Rodgers held on to the football and had time today, it's not like he was under duress and had to make quick decisions. With all the times he pulled it down and didn't find anybody and checked it to the running back out of the backfield, I must say, or the tight end down underneath, I must say, secondary must have been doing something right today. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, those THL balls were just infield pop-ups. Lucky. Some of them felt like it, but I'm starting to think less about them being lucky. You know, you do it once, man, that was lucky, like he did against Atlanta, where he threw up that moon ball in the end zone and Terry came back for it, and it was a touchdown. You do that once, you go, man, that shit was lucky as a mother. He keeps doing it, however, and I'm starting to think less about them being lucky and more about that just being a part of his game. Not something you want to see him do quite often, but as long as he's anticipating these throws, and he threw that moon ball on third down at the end of the game to Terry, before Terry even came out of his break, that ball was gone. Now, it still took the same amount of time that it would have had Wentz thrown it late, but the end result was a catch. So, you know, I'm starting to think it's less luck, more about part of being his game. Eddie Behringer, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Eddie B. writes, just finished watching the recorded game. So nice to see you not in all black. Feels good to not be wearing all black. This is the second week in a row. I almost don't know how to act. Feels great, but I'm trying not to get too comfortable because you just never know. You just never know, but it feels good. I'm not going to lie. Feels good. Spence Kalis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Spence writes, receiving wise with the laterals, how is that divided? So it usually goes to the guy, I think, if I'm not mistaken, who had the ball last. That's how I think that goes. Because think of it this way. If you throw a pass to Terry and he lateral and he runs 20 yards, and then Curtis Samuel is behind him, and as he's getting tackled, he laterals to Curtis Samuel, and Samuel runs in an additional 35 yards. That's a Curtis Samuel 55-yard touchdown catch and run. He gets the credit for it. He was the one that crossed the goal line with the football. So he would get the credit for that. It's the same as that. The last guy to legally touch the football is going to be the one to get the credit for the catch. So maybe Aaron Rodgers gets I think he might have been the last legal guy to touch the football. So let me see if he has a catch in the game. I don't know if he does or not. I don't think he does, but we'll see. Yeah. Rodgers 2 catches for 14 yards. I wonder if everybody gets a catch on that play, because Rodgers ran a hell of a lot longer than 11 yards. And they say his biggest catch in the game was 11 yards. So I don't know. Maybe everybody gets a touch. That's a good question. I'm going to find out for you. I'm going to find that out for you. Maybe everybody gets a piece of that action when they start throwing it around like that. I don't know. Joe Rockhead J, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Joe Rockhead J writes, my picks were all upsets. Winner and loser sheet is still cheeks. Mine was semi-upset city, and it's still cheeks. It's like you can't win for lose, man. This season has just been crazy. Barry Gray Beats, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, no, I meant, did Taylor Heineke finally throw a deep ball? He did. that one to Terry. That's classified as a deep ball. How long was that? That had to be every bit of 30 some odd yards on that Terry touchdown. It was 37 yards. Yeah, that's a deep ball. that classifies, that fits in the file of a deep ball. So absolutely, that definitely qualifies. Metro Cash, stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB. So glad to have you aboard, Mob. You know what to do. Welcome Metro Cash with open arms. Show him some love. Welcome him to the squad. So glad to have you, Metro Cash. Let's see. Got another super here. This one is from Abel Ambrosio. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Abel, who writes, appreciate it, man, and no worries. Also, Breece Hall, torn ACL. Ouch. And I saw him with the big touchdown run, and then I saw him getting carted off. I didn't know the extent of his injury. That sucks. He was playing so well for the Jets this year. They get the win, but they lose their star rookie running back in the process. That absolutely sucks. I'm so glad you were able to go and you had a good time, but most importantly, you brought home the dub. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm selfish when it comes to these things. The second thing I want the most is for you to have a great time. You know what number one is, right? Number one is I want you to bring home the dub. You can have a shitty time at the game, but if we win, you did your job. But I ultimately want you to have a good time. And in doing that, I want this team to win as well. So I'm glad you were able to do both of those things in this game, Abel Ambrosio. So glad you were able to go. I was so worried that you weren't going to be able to go, and I felt so bad about getting you those tickets so late. Lance Eubank, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Lance. Double up, writes, polls. 1/3 Heineke, 1/3 Wentz, 1/3 Howell. We America. Yeah. Look, I think you might be spot on there with the breakdown percentage-wise of this fan base and where they stand on who they want to see play. There's a lot. I told you guys earlier in the week, there are a lot more Heineke supporters than I thought. And some of them may have just been so far gone on Wentz in terms of not wanting to see him that they're like, look, just give me Heineke. But I think that the Howell crowd is there because they still think we suck and ultimately know that unless he's any good, we're not going to have a chance long term, and we need a quarterback. And they want to find out if he is in fact the answer or not. And then I think there are some people that still want to see Wentz. I think that crowd is dwindling, though. I don't think that crowd really exists in big numbers. I don't know if that's a third of the crowd anymore. I think some of Wentz's group has gone over to Howell's group, and Wentz might be more like 1/4. And then the percentages get a little funky there as to how you break it down. But, you know, hard to really say. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Dejan writes, nobody feels sorry for the Packers. We won, and I'm running with it, LOL. Jamin played good, and we got a stain in Wild Goose. Yeah, no, I know this. I said the same thing about the Bears game. This doesn't even, to me, qualify as a game you need to be even discussing about giving back this, that, or the third. This was a quality win. No, we made mistakes, and they had opportunities, and they dropped passes, and this, that, and yeah, all of that shit happened, but we won the game, and we played well for a stretch of this football game. Like competent football, you should win this game type of football. This wasn't the Bears game last week where there was no pocket of that game other than a drive that still resulted in a field goal because we weren't good enough to punch it into the end zone. There was no point of that game that I thought, man, we're playing really good football. There was a point of this game where we had scored 20 straight points unanswered in this game. The defense is getting off the field. The offense is turning the defensive stops into points, albeit field goals, and we're dominating the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, no, we deserve to win this football game. Absolutely. No need to give anything back. F. Altus, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, F. Altus writes, as a wise man once said, it's either being coached or it's being condoned. Flags. So examples are flags. When they all getting flagged for being handsy, I got to look at the coach. Our secondary talent looked sneaky good, but I saw them I saw them in good position, but to that, I say touche. Like, for instance, Juice was in great position on a deep ball to Samuel Watkins. Why are you putting your hands on him? Why are you reacting that way? I know a lot of times when you're in trail technique, you're taught to play the receiver. Watkins is looking back. You're assuming that ball is Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be close, right? He panics. Instead of looking back, locating the ball, he just damn near was about to tackle Samuel Watkins, ends up picking up a flag. Luckily enough, that ball was so far over Samuel Watkins' head down the field that they ruled it uncatchable and picked up the flag. That would have been points on the scoreboard for the Packers. That penalty was 40 yards down the field. You can't do that. You're in great position. Don't panic. William Jackson III did the same shit against Dallas twice. You're in great position. Don't panic. Make a play on the football. We saw that again with Kendall Fuller. You're in great position against Robert Tonyan. Refuse to look back for the football. So you panic. You grab the man, pull him down. That ball wasn't going to be caught. That shit was borderline uncatchable. But you put the officials in a position to throw the flag. You can't do that. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, oh, yeah, once again, my Mavs crush your Grizzlies. We just struggle with y'all. We really do. And we're not at full strength. I'm not looking to make any excuses. Y'all kicked our ass, and y'all usually play us like that anyway. So it's an early season game. I ain't tripping, but that was a nice, thorough ass whipping. Won't be the last one we take this season either. You some nights you just don't have it. And when Luka's hitting like he had 21 in the first quarter. What are you going to do? You know, really, what are you going to do? So anyway, that's the last super chat. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here for the Command Post Game Show Live. Man, that was fun. That was a win. That's 2 in a row. Celebrate! We 1 game away from getting back to 500. We were left for dead and on an oxygen mask that was breathing for us, keeping us alive. But now we're breathing on our own. All right. We're breathing on our own. We're coherent. We can shake our head, yes or no. We can grip. You know, you say something that we approve of, we can squeeze your hand and let you know we approve. And the brain function and activity is starting to come together, come to life a bit. And you're 1 more win away from being able to start trying to get up and walk to the bathroom with some assistance and actually try to make something of this season. Shit was left for dead. But after this 23-21 victory over the Green Bay Packers, there's more life in this season than we probably thought a mere 2 weeks ago. If nothing else, we're going to get ourselves some meaningful November football. And to that, I say, hell yes. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. For the show, Washington gets the win. They're 2nd of the season at home. 2nd in a row. Both coming in the NFC North. Got some unfinished business next week with the Indianapolis Colts in that division. Got to find a way to win our 2nd game in that division. Can't afford to lose to any more teams in those 2 respective divisions if we're serious about making some noise. We got a shot. I like our chances, but soak this one up. Get you some Sunday night football. We'll come back. We'll chop it up after that game. Steelers and Dolphins. Hell yeah. We 3-4. Shit feels good. Feels good. Feels good. Y'all take care. God bless. And good night.
Louie Tee.